Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, wherever you are. Thank you for joining us here at the Overwatch League around the world for this special online broadcast. I'm Ilios, joined as always by Wolf. I'm live from New Jersey. Wolf back live in Los Angeles, and thank you guys for joining us. Wolf, how you doing? It's been a while.
I'm doing great. I'm so glad Overwatch League is back. We're all doing this from different houses, from different locations all around the world. The stuff that our production has been working on, our production staff has been working on for the last few weeks with changes happening across the world throughout this crisis has been incredible, and what we've put together here for this Overwatch League broadcast online, I think is going to be a product that you guys are really excited to watch. Really excited to be back, and I'm excited that not only is Overwatch League back, but our Chinese teams are back, and they're all playing tonight.
Yeah, indeed. We get to see all four of our Chinese organizations square off this evening, starting off with Guangzhou versus the Shanghai Dragons. It's going to be a little bit weird not having you by my side in person, but at least I have you in my headset so we can go ahead and get through the action. But yeah, it's been a while. People have been chomping at the bit to see these teams. We have not yet been able to, obviously because of the COVID situation happening around the world, but now they are ready to make their 2020 debut. So let's go ahead and take a look at the roster, starting off with the Guangzhou Charge. There's been some changes here.
Yeah, adding a few players to this starting six. We got Neptuno, who will be playing support, not playing the DPS like he was earlier today in the show match they played. And Krong will play his Overwatch League debut. Krong used to be on Geggery's team, the Rocks Orcas, back in the day, and then, of course, ping-ponged around a few teams in Korea. Very strong lineup that we're seeing here. Nero and Happy starting off the DPS lineup here for Guangzhou Charge, the DPS duo that we saw with really great success towards the latter part of the 2019 season. And I feel like this is a strong powerhouse roster they brought here, the starting six, against, I mean, honestly, the Shanghai Dragons. They're the favored team coming into this matchup.
Yeah, and then on the other side, you already mentioned them, we do have the Shanghai Dragons, a team that has gone through a lot of evolution here as of late in the offseason, now coming into 2020. A lot of additions and a lot of members on this roster. We'll have to see how they're going to fare, because they have a lot of depth behind them.
They certainly do. I mean, they bring Void in, who's always been a great diva player when he's on an all-Korean roster. Lee Jae-gon finally for his Overwatch League debut, the former Runaway player, one of the biggest main support pickups coming into the 2020 season worldwide. You know, you talk about Sparkle on the DPS lineup, you talk about a lot of the great Koreans we brought into 2020, but Lee Jae-gon, someone we haven't seen just yet. You've got Fleta coming in from Seoul Dynasty, and two new major coaches in Moon and J-Field. Two coaches who were mostly considered failures on their previous rosters, LA Valiant and London Spitfire, for failing to bring those rosters to grander success. We'll see if they can bring Shanghai Dragons to a better 2020. 2019 was a year of first win, first playoffs, first stage title, and 2020 they're looking to carry that momentum forward.
Yeah, we'll have to see if this can net them, perhaps a championship at the end of it all. That's what every single team in the 2020 season is going to be going for. So we'll just have to see who, at the end of the day, is going to be able to lock that one down. Now that we have the rosters out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about our hero pools, because it's been a while since this draw happened, Wolf. I think if you remember back, we had this happen live at the studio in Los Angeles. So our hero pool, characters that are not able to be played today, is going to be Winston and Lucio for the support, and then Soldier 76 and Sombra in the DPS roles.
So it does kind of eliminate a lot of the dive-esque stuff we were seeing with Sombra Winston, some of the Sombra Doomfist dive we were seeing. So I think that we're going to see a lot of Mei. I think Orisa and Reinhardt are definitely going to make a big comeback this week. We have seen some teams experiment with Sigma, so I think that's something to consider as well. And since we haven't seen these Chinese teams just yet in the Overwatch League, and because they've been scrimming with each other over in Asia and haven't really been part of the scrim culture as much for what we've seen from the Overwatch League so far this season, there could be some surprises, to be sure, heading into not only this series, but our next series as well.
Yeah, I think the only non-surprise is going to be that we are still going to be seeing a lot of Mei. I know that a lot of people probably audibly groaned when you said those words, Mei will be played, but she is just so damn powerful at the moment, so fully expect to see her still very much on the forefront of the battles here in this matchup. But let's go ahead and take a look at our map set. and see where we are going to be headed for today. Starting us off on control, it's going to be Nepal. Then from there, we do, of course, have a bit of a rotation in the map, so we will be seeing Route 66 for the first time, and then we potentially could move into Eichenwalde as well as Volskaya. And if we can make it to that Game 5, Lijiang Tower is waiting on the horizon. We've got two Chinese teams. Couldn't think of a better way to finish off a series in their debut in 2020 than on the Chinese map.
Yeah, it certainly has been a long time coming. Finally getting into our first map here, Ilios, of Nepal. I mean, Overwatch League was on a hiatus, you know, for the safety of our players and staff, and it's taken a long time to get everybody together through the internet online and set up an environment where these 12 players can enter an arena for an official Overwatch League game. And it's happening. We're doing it.
We've done it.
And it's time for some Chinese Overwatch League. Finally.
That it is. And we are ready for battle, as the teams will just be preparing to attack, and then we can have a battle commence. We'll see who is going to be able to grab a nice old lead here at the start of Nepal. I mean, remember, Lucio unable to be played here. Nepal has historically, especially when you get to Sanctum, been such a huge map for Lucio players, having that pit right there next to the point, so not going to be able to get the boops there. We do see an Orisa coming through for stand 1 at the moment, so still do have potential for halts off the side of the map, but for now people will be charging forward. The Symmetra is out for Lip.
Lip
will be pushing
stick
forward.
With this. Yeah, he's going to stick with this. They're going to try to get control of the point first with this Symmetra and get that extra charge up. There's massive damage to be done. They have the point controlled first, so this is going to force Happy to have to rotate around to get some chip damage off on the side.
Yeah, already though, Rio getting a little bit isolated. Flame Strike going to be good. Manages to find Izayaki, and Happy is up here onto the high ground, firing into the backside of Fleta, who does get taken down. So we'll just be the cleanup here on the back end. The Sigma falling last as Void will go back to the respawn room, and first lockdown will come through for Guangzhou.
Yeah, despite Rio getting picked early, he was able to force Shanghai Dragons out of position, allowing Happy to get into a place where he could hit those pot shots there and do that extra damage, and helps chip them away. I mean, they're playing a comp that needs to fight on the point, in that house here on Village, and they just could not do that. And Happy shouldn't have been able to get that much damage, but he did.
Yeah, quite a bit. So now still sticking through with the Symmetra, just about halfway to that barrier. It's a nice right click through, gets a little bit more percentage built up, as it will just be Guangzhou retreating back over onto the point. Happy keeping himself a little bit hidden here at the moment, trying to maintain control of that high ground and find a pickoff here for his squad. We're just going to be tossing a couple of these turrets out, trying to get some additional charge, trying to find a pick, but Happy's going to strike first. Manages to find Izayaki, taking the enemy Ana out of the flight. But Fleta now going to fall as well as Rio swings away, finds a triple kill, as Stand 1 and Lee Jae-gon will both fall. And finishes things off with Quad, as Void will be taken down as well. Very nicely done. Guangzhou Charge maintain control.
And this should just be Guangzhou saving 499 here with a few ultimates. They may commit the rally and the blizzard here. If they win the fight, they win the round. If they lose the fight, they trade up ultimates favorably. The photon barrier isn't going to be that great if they can't track where Happy is. I mean, this is all or nothing here for Shanghai right now. The Graviton, or rather the Flux, is going to be important as well.
Big Bionade connects onto 3, stun there on Izayaki, and Neptuno manages to find the kill. The Blizzard rolling here onto the point from Nero, and it's just going to be a cleanup coming in. Now suddenly 83% of the board for the Guangzhou Charge. This might just be 100-0, because Shanghai Dragons, they can't seem to find a leg to stand on.
They certainly can't. I mean, Void has that Gravitic Flux. Photon Barrier totally useless. They have Blizzard, but they have to tag the point, and it just seems unlikely they can get a real fight here. They're going to be cut in half as they try to touch, and they can't. There's a pin to prevent Lee Jae-gon. Doesn't happen.
All the ults coming out on the end there, but still just not going to be enough. Can't get to the point, and that will just be 100-0 for the side of the Guangzhou Charge. So fantastic start to the map for them, but we'll have to see how Shanghai bounces back.
The composition that Shanghai was trying to run is great if you get the point first. If you fail, you either have to swap and lose ult charge, or you have to commit to a composition that's not really built to assault a point like that when it's already fortified and Happy is on the high ground with the McCree. It's not really Shanghai's fault that their follow-up attacks were weak and they couldn't get their ults off. It's just really good play there by the Charge to keep Happy protected up on that high ground. See if they commit to this Zarya here. A very unusual composition they're coming out with now. Zarya Wrecking Ball to crack this point open. A take on dive. The bubble's going to be for Lip for sure here.
Very heavy dive, but if everyone goes forward, it's going to leave the back line quite exposed. Shielding from Lee Jae-gon on that Brigida. But for now, first picks will be coming through for the Shanghai Dragons, so it seems like they're not going to be going percentage-less this time. Rio trying to retreat, the shield's going to be broken. Neptuno manages to find one, he gets the knockoff on the stand one, pushing him off the map, and the Doomfist will fall as well. Krong counting him down on the board, though, for the moment, are the Shanghai Dragons, but still without two of their members. The Wrecking Ball and the Doomfist just now respawning. They can get back over towards the point rather quickly to see if they want to contest this. They managed to get in right at the last second to stop the flip from coming through, so Shanghai still going to be accruing percentage, but now move off. And it will put back over into the hands of the Guangzhou Charge. Rally still rolling through Neptuno, armoring up his teammates, and stand one will fall. It seems like now this is going to be Guangzhou's point to hold.
Yeah, and they're also going to get some staggers here, it looks like. Not actually grabbing any kills, but still forcing that retreat back. Void will have his Graviton Surge. They'll have Rally for this next fight. This is absolutely a favorable fight for Shanghai if they can get into position. There's not a lot of great ways to lock down Fleta either while he's fighting. You can see him over down the left side. Nano's out.
Yeah, Nano is out. That's going to be on to Lip at the moment. Punch comes through. Shoot. Going to be taken down. Punch for Charge. Managed to knock the Reinhardt to the ground, and that will just be the cleanup here for Shanghai. 35% on the board.
Yeah,
they do.
absolutely.
They don't have to use it.
They keep the Graviton Surge here. They use only the Nano Boost. And now they have a great fortified position where they could use the Archway to get a great Graviton Surge. They can delay the fight. Nero is going to really be hard-pressed to get into position to use that Blizzard. In fact, you can see the armor pack being given to him right now. It just fades before he can get there. Eating the grab would be huge. If Krong could do that, I mean, they've got a real fighting chance here. But otherwise, absolutely Shanghai favored.
Pushing their way up, the Space Jam combo ready to go. They nearly have a Mind Field layer on top of it as well, just to make sure that they absolutely shut down all hopes of the Guangzhou Charge turning this one around. The Blizzard Hour going to be coming through. Lee Jae-gon going to be caught up, taking a bit of damage. It will be finished off by Nero, but it's at the cost of Shoot. Let it into the back line with the Tracer. Manages to find the Ana, now follows up, gets rid of the Reinhardt. One less shield to stand behind. Fleta finally will be taken out by Happy. Now looking for Void, who's quite charged up on that Zarya. Trying to beam him down, goes into the Wraith Walk. 36 HP remaining. They try to delay. Perfect right click from Void, however, gets rid of the Reaper at long range. Taking him out of that fight, so no Death Blossom to be found. And this is going to be the Charge again, saved off.
Oh, incredible hold there from Shanghai Dragons. Just staggering different members in onto the point until Void can come back on the Zarya, come in there, and he's got too much damage. He packs too much of a punch. It's too risky for Happy to stay in the fight when there's a Doomfist on the other side. You could track his movements, his teleports, his Wraith Walks. One more chance here now for Guangzhou. They've got the ult advantage, positional disadvantage.
Minefield going to be coming through. Here the Shatter getting dropped in, but doesn't get anything for Rio. Fire Strike out, but a very short pin doesn't lead him anywhere. Bomb from Krong, however, just managed to find the Doomfist. Get one. Happy will find Lee Jae-gon as well, trying to hide in the corner, cowering in fear. There is no mercy to be had at the hands of Happy. He strikes him down, and that will be the flip coming through. But 99% on the board for the Shanghai Dragons. Only 44 right now for Charge.
Really cool way to hold that point, though, for Shanghai. They use the minefield to buy a lot of time. Sure, they do get that pick-off Guangzhou does onto Lip, but they get to hold this Graviton Surge. They get to hold the Nano Boost. So there's a really great way for them to re-engage now. Got the ult economy lead.
Still has that grab. Nano Boost on the Lip. Jumps into the back with a seismic slam. Shield going to be blocking him out, but Shu is the first to fall. Taken out. The Coalescence. So now going to be down. Lip up into the air. Seismic slams back here onto the point, but Krong manages to find him. Graviton Surge going to be coming through. Maywall trying to get the ball, but they're able to slip through. The Pulse Bomb goes in behind the shield and takes the go to Rio. That Blossom now out. Happy manages to bring it back to two members here, taken down on the side of Shanghai.
Nero, the man of the hour, that ice wall was perfect there to block the damage. The follow-up for the Graviton, it just isn't there. Nero blocks it, finishes the Blizzard Charge off. And this is their map to win now.
Now, can they hold this? 98%, they make their way over onto the point for pushing forward. Rio going to be swinging away, stands stunned up for the moment. Blocks a minefield right at the top of the ramp, but he will fall. Shu dead in the back line at the hands of Fleta, as looks for a little bit more. Going in for the punch, spots Rio, gets a little bit of a tag onto him, but he is armored up, so it doesn't do too much damage. Do a bit more to try to break down the Reinhardt. Into the punch, they both fall down. Both staying alive for a little bit longer. Happy, taken out. What a manage to find one. The headshot's coming through. Now he gets a second one. Rio going to be eliminated. The uppercut is through. Krong gets knocked out of the mech. The self-destruct is in. They're off the point, and the Shanghai Dragons will be able to take it. Shrine goes their way, and now Sanctum will decide Nepal.
Such great plays by Fleta there at the end. Fleta's Tracer, something that he's not as known for. You know, you think of Fleta, you think of the Pharah, you think of the Doomfist, you think of the Widowmaker. You don't think of the Tracer as much, especially throughout his time on Seoul Dynasty. You know, Munchkin was playing the Tracer sometimes. You know, you had a lineup of players that you wouldn't put Fleta on Tracer necessarily in a lot of his career, you know, going even as far back as Flash Lux, but now he's playing the Tracer. His flanks have been good. His harassment has been really good. He's threatening Shu a lot of the time, so making it much more difficult to get the tank line healed up for Guangzhou. He's making a huge difference here in this composition. As strange as it is, it's finding a lot of success here for Shanghai. And it's not about the grabs, it's just about the extra support and the damage output from that Zarya. More than the grabs, which is quite unusual for this hero in professional play. And we're going to see the scout here for Guangzhou. They're going to swap it up and bring their own Zarya. Krong, his first and most famous hero was the Zarya back on Rock's Orcas. Was the meta then, we'll see if he can prove himself once more.
Comes back in the day playing against classic legends such as Hoon.
Exactly.
Trying to make a name for yourself in that era, quite difficult as a Zarya player. Stand around the corner, going to be rolling through, get stunned up there for the moment. Seems that Zarya bubble from Void. Trying to keep him safe, but Charge will be able to go ahead and lock down the point despite no real fighting happening. So they do just get that early lead established. Now have defensive positioning to try and take down the advancing members of the Shanghai Dragons. Stun out, Neptuno not going to connect with Fleta. However, Rio manages to find a fire strike, getting rid of Lee Guard, so it's going to be an exchange on those Brigidas. Fleta is still unlocked on the point. Helps take down Shu, now finds Nero. The pulse bomb already built up. Recalls back with some swag to try and get rid of Happy. Will be able to do so. This is the Fleta show. This is the road to the deadlift.
I mean, that is the road to the deadlift. Is Tracer meta right now, or is Fleta meta? That was insane. Is the counter to Tracer a Brigida, or is the counter to a Brigida Fleta? He came in there, killed Neptuno, and just had a free reign of the map. Pulse bombing Rio, not even necessary there, but looks like he was done for show.
Like I said, do that with a recall. It's a swag move. He nailed it, and he's already a third of the way towards that next one. Gets the knockoff onto Krong, and Lit finds the punch on the Happy. Go ahead, jump in the pit, abandon the fight. This one is done.
Incredible defense here of the point for the Shanghai Dragons. Great setup there for stand one. He comes around in his Overwatch League debut here and gets that knockoff, prevents Krong from coming in, and that's the backbone of their composition. Fleta going to scout it out, and he's going to threaten this backline. Neptuno cannot get killed again.
Hello there.
No, he cannot. Coalescence, the only ult right now. The Blizzard and the Graviton Surge not too far away. For Guangzhou Charge, we'll just go ahead and make that left side wrap around approach. They drop down. Lip waiting on the high ground as that side is ready to roll. Tries to go for the punch. It's the nano boost, drops down. Lip comes through for free. Shanghai not standing on the point. Now Shoot. Manages to find one. The damage orb getting rid of Lee Gone, but Lip now unlocked, has him in the corner. Can he get a kill? Jumps his way out to get the Mega Pack. Nice pass thing by him, so does survive, and Fleta manages to find Happy. Lip returning, gets the punch onto Shu. Really kill there for the Graviton Surge now coming out from Void. They're trying to find the kills with the Mayhem, denies them quite a lot of access behind the shield of the Reinhardt, so can't find the kills yet, but the zone in the back room. Krong manages to burn one down. Grab comes through, Neptuno arriving, swinging away from behind, trying to find the kills, but Rio gets taken down by stand one, just swinging away with a grapple. Very high energy here on his Zarya, trying to stay alive, but does not have a self-bubble. Dips it around the corner, no one there to peel, no one to heal him. Bionade now onto the 4 remaining members of the Guangzhou Charge, but they will be able to stay alive for a little bit longer as the rally comes out from Neptuno, keeping them armored up. But Shanghai are still in control point, 85%, it's still advancing. Something needs to happen soon. Meteor Strike going to be dropping down here, right into the center. Lip hits the ground, will stay there as Happy finishes them off with a shotgun. Something like a 99% take here for Charge. Lip getting ready to come through, pulse bomb out. Perfect bubble there from Krong. will deny the May falling. So now Nero gets to survive and now has that Blizzard ready to go in a defensive situation should they need it. They're still looking for the flip, so might have to burn it here. That would be really great for the Shanghai Dragons.
Flip with a double.
2 with an uppercut,
Triple.
now a third. Maybe. This is going to have to be burned right now. Yeah, Nero uses the Blizzard, but no one is there. The OG just going to bleed away. Neptuno jumps forward with a shield bash, but is instantly greeted with a punch, and that will be it. The map getting closed out by the Shanghai Dragons. Fantastic.
First win of the season.
First map win of the season, but still a ways away from the first match victory of the season. It took them a bit in 2019. We'll see how long it takes them, but that's a very strong start after, a poor first round, but then 2 back-to-back extremely strong rounds for them.
They were running against Guangzhou Charge, running a more meta composition. They had positional advantages. They had numbers advantages. Shanghai Dragons just out-mechanicked the Guangzhou Charge. They outplayed them. They played better Overwatch at its most basic sense, and a lot of that's from Fleta on the Tracer. Absolutely incredible stuff here.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
Map 2 coming up for you in just a bit.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Pringles Wavy. Big crunch, big flavor.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. Map 1 already out of the way. And what a start. Shanghai Dragons able to take that one 2-1 on Nepal. Now we get ready to move forward into season. My audio is having a little bit of a technical difficulty. There we go. Sorry, guys. Apologies for that. Welcome back. Map 2. We're working from home, so there's going to be a couple bumps in the road from time to time. Got that taken care of. But, man, what a first map there from Shanghai Dragons. Able to take it 2-1 on Nepal.
Yeah, it's gonna be a rocky road. You and I are the guinea pigs for the first match here, but we're getting through it. Great
that was
plays,
just my
again,
fault. That wasn't even production. This is just me messing up. NA caster.
Going back to what you were saying, though, Shanghai Dragons looking really good. I mean, it's the mechanical plays we're seeing from Fleta. I think that everyone needs to be watching out for now. Also, even though Reinhardt Zarya has a better composition on paper, and historically speaking, you look at a composition like Reinhardt Zarya with the Reaper and the Mei to bolster it, that staying power on a control map, almost unbeatable. You wouldn't think that a Wrecking Ball would be able to cause enough disruption, but it's Stand 1 creating that disruption. He has a lot more utility as a Wrecking Ball, and he's doing a lot more than the Rhine in this matchup versus Rio, or versus Stand 1, I should say. Or, Rio versus Stand 1. And it's Fleta who's helping really disrupt the backline. I'm very impressed with what we're seeing from Shanghai so far.
Yeah, really, really good stuff. The controlled chaos coming through from them is reminiscent of, the likes of Chengdu from last year, especially having that Wrecking Ball being the primary tank for them in that mix. But the Doomfist Tracer working out, Fleta finding his stride, looking very comfortable thus far. It's only one map, though, so things could obviously change. We'll have to see how things develop and evolve as we go deeper into this series, but already looking like a very promising series that we have on our hands between these two titanic Chinese organizations. So we'll see who can take a further lead, or if we can get a tie, if Guangzhou Charge are going to be able to take our second map of Route 66. So we'll see how things develop there. And, I mean, like I said, Game 5, that's Lijiang Tower on control. I'm more than happy to go the distance.
I'm looking forward to a potential 5th game, but right now, the way I see it, as we head into Route 66, I mean, Shanghai might just run away with this series. Remember, because it's been a little while, for those who missed the beginning of the season or forgot that this is a 1st-to-3 series, so not all 4 maps necessarily required. But also remember that we had a lot of Chinese show matches throughout the last few months and even before the Overwatch League. And in those games, Shanghai looked by far the strongest of the 4 Chinese teams. Lip is an incredible pickup for this squad, one of the highest ranked DPS players on the Korean server. And the synergy, they've had so much time to build it now, that even though basically none of these players have played together before, they look like a coordinated unit.
That they do. Already a bit
Sigma.
of a forward play here as Void will be on the Sigma again. We saw it briefly from him there for that brief moment on Nepal, and then ended up having to swap off. Already a lot of damage being pushed forward. Stand one chunk down below half. Void as well, taking quite a bit. So we have to go ahead and get bunkered in here to try and remain safe.
The halt, though, is real. I mean, finally Nero gets an opening pick here.
And does manage to take one down, and Happy has just a perfect flank angle there. Jigon not seeing that one coming. Taken down from the side. Shot there to the side of the head, and Void now falling as well. So a very strong start for Charge as they get this cart moving here on Route 66. That will be the extended wipe.
That's my favorite type of Widowmaker. A Widowmaker plays not only with sightlines and good aim, but also with knowledge that his opponents don't know that he swapped back to the Widowmaker. He waits until he has the perfect easy shot, doesn't try to go for a crazy flick, doesn't try to be a hero, and just looks for those condensed, absolute certain kills. Now he's got great sightlines, he's got high ground and this choke control. He'll swap very likely soon after this because the double shield's going to make life difficult, but he might get an opening kill because, again, they don't know he's running this. He could have swapped.
See him trying to survive. Happy finds yet another pick as Liz will be eliminated. Now field from the side of the Charge will be taken out. Now answered. Here comes that Amp Matrix. Neptuno, however, double headshots coming through. Just to get rid of both supports on the side of the Shanghai Dragons. And that is going to be them just steamrolling through this defense yet again. All the way into point A. 4 minutes, 40 seconds in the time bank now for the Charge.
Killing Lip, as Happy did early in that fight, meant that they didn't have as much shield break as they needed to contest the double shields coming forward. Happy did a ton of extra damage, and they just have that sightline controlled. And now, you know, I mean, Lip's got this Dragon Strike, but they have Immortality Field to shut it down, and the cart just keeps rolling. He cannot get picked by Happy again. He's respecting those sightlines. If he gets killed, the shields just can't be broken. Not with the comp they're running. The chip damage from Nero alone is not enough. Or from Blood alone, rather, is not enough.
Happy taking a bit, receiving that Discord Orb, will go ahead. Up off the high ground for the moment, wait for that next grab to come up so he can continue searching for some picks. They do have Lip up top. They do a wrap around the left side going up the staircase. Trying to apply some pressure and shove back the forces of the Shanghai Dragons. Alright, so successful for now. But has to get topped up. I'm Happy. Has the shot. Civic Flux comes through, slams him to the ground, but the Mortality Field is there for Eichenwalde. They're trying to keep everybody alive now, answering Flux, but not going to be able to find anything. Void will be frozen up. Hasn't been eliminated yet. There's that Discord Orb hovering on him, and Happy has to take a reload at a critical moment. Wanted to get that shot onto Lee Jae-gon, but with the Blizzard being used by Nero, they will be able to glide through into point B, making record time for Route 66. This is impressive.
Crazy, almost 5 minutes on the clock to head to C, and Happy gets both of those points with opening picks onto Lip, who hasn't been able to get value on this Hangzhou. And it almost begs the question, should Fleta swap to Widow to match? He needs the Blizzard first, but if he never gets a chance to use it, it won't matter. And look at this again! This can't be happening!
Yep, yet another shot there. Izayaki managing to alleviate some of the pressure as Nero will be taken down in range. Izayaki trying to get towards that.
Again!
Never mind. I'll just stop talking about Zenyatta's. Why not? It's the Happy show. That's another hit, and that's going to be Fleta eliminated. Poison Trap going out to try to protect the flank angle. Doesn't get the shot. It's going to be Zen, however. Hulk comes through, and that's going to be Stand 1 set up for disaster. Dragon Strike will roll in, but no one is nearby, so that is not going to get anything whatsoever for Lip. And again, Happy is constantly protecting that flank angle, so there's no surprise arrows flying through towards him. Season 6 point gets that dink, the quick scope in. Not enough to finish him off, but now Nero pushing forward, gets rid of Izayaki before he can get that Transcendence online. He's still 29% away. Here the Ant Matrix comes through from Lee Jae-gon. Blizzard will be tossed in. Nero and Frog frozen for the moment. Immortality Field keeping them alive for a little bit longer. This will finally be the Dragons being able to push back as they get multiple kills here on the back end of this fight. But there's still 3.5 minutes just about remaining for the Charge on this push.
This is going to be where Happy has to consider a swap because he doesn't have sightline control anymore. He can't bully these weak, low health pool heroes as they try to exit spawn. He won't have those flank angles. He could do some chip damage, but getting through the shields that now Stand 1 and Void will have set up pretty reasonably is going to be much more difficult. As you can see here, he doesn't have much to aim at.
No, he does not. Stand already off the back. Gravitic Flux now going to be coming through from Void. Frog going to be matching. Drops him to the ground and Void will fall, so not going to be able to find anything with his Gravitic Flux. Nero with the Blizzard rolling. Gets the freeze here on the Flutter. They get the stun. And they cannot get the kill. Flutter is kept alive. Trying to absorb anything that he can. Get that shielding up. As Lip finally manages to find Happy. Follows up with the Storm Arrows, gets rid of Neptuno, now Rio, and it seems like again, right here in front of that finish line, Shanghai Dragons will be able to stave off Charge. 2 minutes, 20 seconds remaining.
It was a great timing. It was a speedrun-esque push, but Happy has, no staying power on these points. He has no ability to fight these longer fights when his team starts to fall around him. And Hangzhou is going to have so much more damage output in a scrappy fight like that. You have to wonder if, even though the Widowmaker looks cool, got him this far, at this point, a swap might be warranted. We're down to 2 minutes left. They might not finish this if they can't get a solid fight here. They're already down on ults.
Nice opening shot there from Lip. Dragon Strike going to be tossed in. He's looking to try and get rid of Rio, who does just successfully retreat. So one ult down before the Charge. Nero going to be discorded for the moment. The only thing that they have ready to go is going to be that Ant Matrix, but Void starting out the spheres, manages to find Nero. And that will push forward as Shu will fall. Ant Matrix is going to be burned by Neptuno. This seems like a major waste. The only thing they can find is going to be Happy taking down Lip, but otherwise they're running back towards the spawn.
I mean, Happy was chasing Lip that whole time, and Lip can, duel him there with sightlines and not actually fire him, then just turn to his right and shoot at barriers. He can damage tanks. Whereas throughout that fight, Happy was either almost killing Lip or doing nothing. And I think it's a compositional difference here that's really costing Shanghai, or rather, excuse me, Charge in these final moments.
No one can hide.
I mean, even this, wall hack here isn't going to help them too much.
Yep,
Tries
Happy
to get the Hulk kill.
Immediately taking shot after shot. They nearly got rid of Void. The Discord Orb trying to help for that one, but Lip finds a headshot onto Neptuno. Will be answered, however, Nero finding some vengeance for his teammate. The Blizzard going to be tossed in. Fleta looking to freeze them up and keep them away from the cartons. There's only 36 seconds remaining. The cleanup will be there. One last-ditch effort here for the side of the Guangzhou Charge. After such a stellar start, looked like record-breaking pace on Route 66.
This is one of those examples of, you think as a pro gamer sometimes, I'm dominating as Widow. If it's not broken, don't fix it, right? But at this point, the Widow's just not going to get value. The Hunter's going to be so much better. It's no surprise they're struggling here now. They finally swap him over.
Yep, Ant Matrix is out on the defense, so such a rough position to be in now for Charge. Happy going for the flank, but somebody's got to tag the cart. They finally managed to do so. Just about a second remaining. Gravitic Flux going to be coming through from both of the Sigmas, and Lip will be the first person to fall. Happy finding a headshot onto the opposing Hangzhou. Rio posted up with the barrier right behind the cart, keeping it contested and trying to inch it forward as slowly and steadily as he possibly can. After the flank tries to find a shot, is unable to do so far. The Blizzard going to be tossed in. They don't have a way to eat that one, but Krog falls moments before the Blizzard comes through. Immortality Field going to be taken out. Happy finds that, but they don't find any kills on the back end of the Blizzard, despite multiple members for the Shanghai Dragons being frozen. Fleta finally falling, but the fight is very much the way of the Shanghai Dragons. They will be able to successfully hold off Guangzhou Charge just inches in front of that final point.
And that's that, one decision to keep the Hangzhou that I think comes back to bite them. Great defense there against all odds and against all time banks. coming through from the Guangzhou Charge after getting totally dominated there, or by Shanghai Dragons after getting totally dominated there by Happy's Widow. At the end of the day, you do struggle in those moments where your Widow can't get sightlines.
It was really rough tidings, and it just seeming like an unwillingness to swap to, you know, the Hangzhou to match. They did that right at the last couple moments there in the game, but it just was far too late. The Widow was not profiting too much for them, not since that initial push forward into the garage.
And we're going to see Happy start this Widowmaker here on A, where he'll again have that sightline advantage. I don't think he'll get the pre-opening kills and the great start that he had on the attack, because this time his opponents will be ready for him. Shanghai will not be surprised by the Widow, and he won't be able to get a free kill on a flank. I think if this first defense falls apart and crumbles, we should see a swap early for Happy. Lips on the Widow here just to match to start, but he'll also probably swap to Hangzhou for that shield break we've been talking so much about right out of the gates.
Well, moving forward, we'll see if Lip can have as impressive of a start on the Widowmaker as we saw from Happy. Right now, he's hunting for him, but gets tagged up, so has to retreat, and it will just be a quick away swap to the Hangzhou. So not looking to try and win that 1v1. Neptuno gets tagged multiple times in midair by Fleta. Really nice right clicks coming through from him as Happy is just left out to dry. It will be eliminated. Now it's the wraparound, the surrounding coming through from the Shanghai Dragons, just enclosing on the position of the Guangzhou Charge, and it just seems like there's nothing that they can do at this point.
Yeah, you know, I really have to question the Widowmaker start here. He's going to stay with it too. You and I cast Happy a lot in his time on Metabellum, and this was an issue with him even back then. He dies the Sonic Arrow here. It was an issue with him back then as well on some of these maps, Hollywood in particular, where he'd stay on the Widow way too long. And you have to wonder if this is his decision or the coach's decision. Happy and Nero last year had so much synergy when they were playing a DPS duo that worked well together. The Mei Widow just simply does not. Especially against double shield.
Yeah, trying to make their way back. Barrier already getting melted down. Mei Wall keeping them locked in for a little bit longer. Now no immortality field, so will be rerouted for the moment. But which tunnel do you want to come out of? Either way, Void is going to be waiting. Bounce the spheres around the wall, around the corner, and also has that Griffin Influx ready to go for when they do exit. Rio makes his way out on one side, everybody else going to be locked into the other. They're pushing their way out. The Accretion not going to find anything. It's met by a barrier. But here comes the Griffin Influx strong up into the air. Quite low, is saved for the moment behind. That immortality field is Nero down to half HP. They try to find that answering Accretion, cannot do so, but Krong finds a double kill. The Accretion gets a triple, now a quadra kill here for Krong, and that is exactly what they needed. The tanks managing to find the kills here for their team.
Shu took his fifth one. That's not nice. He almost had 5 of those 6. But yeah, I mean, that was a great little turnaround there from Krong. Without that, I mean, that was an extremely risky play to go for the grab there. I actually thought that I was going to be breaking this fight down with a Shanghai win, saying, ooh, and they wasted the Gravitic Flux, like that was a bit late. But they just barely pulled it off, and that changes everything.
Yeah, now the reapproach going to be, well, I was going to say that much more difficult, but Izzyaki just takes Happy's head off. So there we go, a lot of pressure going to be eliminated now. From the arsenal of the Guangzhou Charge, Nero walled off and disported so they can track his position as Flutter tries to make his way onto the high ground. They get the freeze, forces out that Transcendence from Shu. The Blizzard now comes down. Neptuno going to be frozen, and the healing is not enough. And Void snatches up Nero's Blizzard, takes that one away with the Kinetic Grasp. And that is just going to be the cleanup now as Shu. It's the last one remaining. They get the kills. Lee Jae-gon popping off on the board as well. But man, what an 8 from Void. Perfectly timed.
And there's some questionable decisions being made on the side of the Guangzhou Charge in terms of how they commit to these fights when the ultimates are used. They're not always properly used in tandem with each other. Shu a little bit early on that Transcendence in that last fight. You know, not the greatest counter to Blizzard anyways, because you still get frozen in that. But I mean, what can Happy do on this Widow? Again, we have to keep asking. Like, he's trying to walk out here against barriers and high ground disadvantage that he has. Now they're walled.
Flux is out. Krong going to be safe. Has that immortality field. Keep him in the fight for a little bit longer. High ground, though, completely snatched up by the Shanghai Dragons, and this is such a hard reapproach for the Guangzhou Charge. Neptuna with a sliver of HP remaining, and Shu finished off by Void, who has just been destroying on the Sigma. We haven't seen too many Sigmas, but you can easy to say that he's looking like maybe the best one we've had thus far in the 2020 season. Perfectly timed accretion there as well onto Nero as he gets out of the ice block and try to get the final blows there. They will be able to do so.
This is a one-sided fight. While the entire time you were saying all this, they're doing great play-by-play. Happy finally swapped. So I was gonna say, you wonder how many shots Happy hit in that last fight. I think the answer was 0. His ult charge was only going up by ticks. So, I mean, enough is enough. He finally swaps, but I mean, that is a decision to not swap that he made that will cost his team dearly and may cost him this map on the attack and now the defense.
I mean, Storm Arrow's historically been a very good barrier break utility for Hanzhou's, especially since the barrier health reduction. But swap to it quite late here. In the second half of Route 66, Shanghai with 3 minutes plus remaining are in the garage and they're looking to move up 2-0. And if that happens, I mean, you know, suddenly you're in reverse sweep territory for the Guangzhou Charge if you want to find a victory. Stun up, Dragon Strike rolling through the side. It's just a little bit of damage tickling the members of the Charge, but Lip with a headshot, that's packing the serious punch. That finds the kill on the Neptuno. Could not throw out that immortality field fast enough to try and save his life. Izayaki now finds another headshot as Kwong will also fall. Blizzard going to be used by Nero, now matched by Fleta, trying to open up some space for them to advance onto. With this cart, you can see that box of victory getting ever closer. Hulk comes through, pulls together the Hanzhou and the Mei, but somebody's got a tag. Flux is out, but it's not going to do anything. They can't get there, and Shanghai Dragons will just, in fact, be able to glide to victory here on Route 66 and move up 2-0 in the series.
You know, they had us in the first half, not gonna lie.
They really did.
But I mean, look, the Happy Widow, when it worked, and when they had control of sightlines, was incredible. When it didn't work, it cost them the map. And I mean, I have to keep harping on it because Lip just outperformed him in every way on the Hangzhou. And I mean, that was it. They forced the transfer the grab there in that last fight. The Blizzard comes through, easy peasy win. Even though it doesn't look like it, like if you watch back to the beginning, it doesn't feel like it. A very one-sided map, I have to feel, for Shanghai.
Yeah, it really was. But now, like I said, reverse sweep territory. If you are the Guangzhou Charge, need to pull off 3 in a row if they want to find a victory in their first match of the 2020 season. We'll see if they can do that when we come back after halftime. We'll see you guys in just a bit.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile. Rank up with America's first and only nationwide 5G network. And by State Farm. For auto, home, or renters insurance. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. You don't have the desk operating at the moment, so you just get Wolf and I. It's back to Apex and Contenders days of us just kind of entertaining you guys in the halftime of the games. This is the Game Break presented by Cheez-It Groove, so welcome.
Yeah, and it's, we saw the last two maps, and you kind of heard our thoughts on it already, but just kind of to expand upon that, if you just tuned in, we have a 2-0 lead for Shanghai. Mechanical skill wins out in map number 1 for Shanghai Dragons. You've got Fleta coming in on Tracer, popping off, having total control of the back line. You've got Stand 1 playing a Wrecking Ball with the Zarya, so you have this unusual tank composition that's finding great success on Sanctum. And then you go into map 2, and it's just better decision-making, better compositions from Shanghai Dragons that lead them to a pretty one-sided victory, despite a great start from the Guangzhou Charge. Just to kind of recap everything that's happened thus far. Our third map, also, as we head into that, will be Eichenwalde, so a hybrid map that may decide the series.
Yeah, we have to see what these guys want to pull out. Seems like Hangzhou and the Widowmaker still could be very heavily contested heroes moving forward into that map, and of course the May is pretty much going to be ever-present at the moment, but stubbornness is the word that it kind of comes to mind when thinking about Happy's performance there on Route 66, just not willing to swap over onto that Hangzhou sooner. And, you highlighted it. That was how much he was struggling trying to get past those double shields. So it was really awesome. Now have to pull off 3 maps in a row if they want to be able to get that first match victory here in the 2020 season. There's been so many fans waiting to see these teams play. So you obviously, after all of that time, all of that anticipation, you want to be able to deliver on the hype. You want to have that victory to back up your fans who are cheering for you around the world. But now it's time for crunch time with Cheez-It Grooves. I don't have the confetti cannon like the last time I was on the analyst desk, and I'm also in my house, so it's probably a bad idea to pop that one off. But Wolf, is there anything you want to do a deep dive on right now?
I think the big focus for Guangzhou is just to, play more meta. Obviously we saw in Game 1 a little bit more unusual stuff coming out of Shanghai Dragons, and Guangzhou did play the meta composition. They played the Reaper, they played the May, but just stick to what is strong. Think back to when they played against Orisa Sigma before. Think back to Double Shields. Think about the Hangzhou. And they've got to have control of their players. Happy with how he's a great Widowmaker player. His aim is fantastic, almost robotic. You could see how he moves his hands very slowly. He doesn't even, it almost feels like he's not flicking, like he's just a robot and the program decides where the head is. So he's got an aimbot in there. But I think the focus has to be on controlling Happy, making sure that he's playing the proper hero. Even if he has a pop off on A and he's trying to call back, like, no, guys, I trust me, my Widow's great. It was a problem he had on Metabellum and Contenders. And, just making sure the team is all on the same page, making sure they're making the right compositional choice. That's what Guangzhou has to do to get back into this series.
Yeah, making a Contenders reference, it honestly kind of reminded me of Ons. Who is actually now a player in the Overwatch League. But, having Onsan Sniper back in the Contenders days of Season 1 was just so unwilling to swap off the Widowmaker because it was what he'd been, become famous for and had always performed on. And sometimes when you're trying to shoehorn that Widowmaker into your composition, it just does not work out, and it's actually a detriment to your squad. So seeing strings of that here so far for the Guangzhou Charge, but there's still an entire other half of this series, and we're going to be getting into it in just a minute. So thank you guys for joining us for the break. We'll be back with the rest of this series and see if Guangzhou can turn things around or if Shanghai just take it 3-0 in just a bit.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by HyperX. Unleash your style, unleash your fury. With HyperX Fury Memory.
And welcome back. We're here from the other side of the break. Still Ilios, still Wolf is over in Los Angeles and probably on that side of the screen, I believe, from where I'm at. I'm pointing to you, Wolf, is what I'm doing at the moment. But, yeah, man, this was starting off as a very promising series. It was like, oh, man, Game 5 looking like maybe that's going to be a thing. And now it's like, oh, man, maybe it's just going to be a 3-0 blowout because, hot damn, Shanghai Dragons.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I was saying earlier I didn't want to get everyone too excited about a five-map series.
I'm sorry,
because
guys, I did it. I got everybody excited, including myself.
I feel like I especially with the new conferences that we have, like quote-unquote, regions, whatever you want to call them, with the Chinese teams playing against each other in a kind of a circuit. I think you're going to see Shanghai dominate Asia right now, based on how they're playing today, based on how they've been playing in scrims, based on how they're playing before scrims. Or rather, before the season, like based on how they were playing before they were playing. But yeah, I think you're going to see Shanghai really dominate and take control of this region. That's my prediction, and that was kind of my prediction going into this season. And I focused a lot on the Chinese region because you and I are supposed to be flying around there and casting all those matches. That was kind of like our region, but that didn't happen. It's been a long time. Now we're watching this team, and it feels like kind of everything we were thinking has come true.
Yeah,
so far
it's a very dominant performance. We obviously have to see everybody else and how they're going to be performing throughout the duration of the 2020 season, and also in their debuts later today. But it is a very strong message for Shanghai to be sending, not only to just the Asian teams, but the rest of the teams around the world, that they are a force to be reckoned with and should indeed be feared. But now we have to see how things go in the second half.
Yep, heading into Eichenwalde, our third and potentially last map of this series. And a map where something's got to change here for Guangzhou Charge. When they went toe-to-toe with Shanghai on the first map of Nepal, where they kept the map pretty even, it was when Happy was on the McCree mostly, finding that success, taking positional advantages. It's been all about Happy's ability to either shut down Shanghai or his failure to do so. And Nero's played a great May, throughout this series. We can't really point any fingers at Nero, and I can't doubt or judge Happy's ability to hit headshots. His mechanical skill is great. It's the decisions of when to play which hero, I think, that are really lagging him behind. And, Nero is both the Hangzhou player and the Mei player in this case. He's the projectile player, so it's hard for Happy to swap to Hangzhou. It's not as comfortable, whereas Lip on the other side is one of those Hangzhou specialists, so mismatch there for sure.
Well, that being said, thought maybe we were going to be seeing a bit of dive out of Happy, but for now we'll take that first shot with the Widowmaker. Doesn't find anything though.
We still might, but
yeah, and we'll just be the swap over onto the Hangzhou, so we'll be matching. So mirrored compositions for both of the squads.
He certainly can play the Hangzhou, don't get me wrong, but it's not one of his stronger heroes.
Shots coming in, Lip tagged up a little bit in that back line, has to be careful, as does Void, as the Discord orbs are changing against constantly. Bouncing those around as they keep seeking a new target, trying to pick anybody and anybody off. LJ going to take in a bit of damage there, will be safe, but for now it's going to be a soft retreat for the Shanghai Dragons, it would seem. Working their way back towards the point, trying to get popped back up. Immortality Field's going to fall. Despite the wall coming through onto Void, they'll be able to stay alive because of that Immortality Field. They cannot finish him off. Instead, it's just going to be 2 kills coming in for the side of the Shanghai Dragons, and some really good home completion synergy built up already.
And Happy is, again, the one weak link we've been pointing to throughout the series, and especially I have. I'm not trying to drag you into this with me. It's not like I've got a personal vendetta against the guy, but he's having some issues, right? Lip is just playing more consistently. That's a stray headshot there. He gets on Neptuno, but he's just looking for body shots. He's looking for chunk damage. He's looking for shield damage. Happy's looking for kills, and as a result, he's done half the damage.
Oh, shoot, just a shoulder showing around that corner. But Floodit manages to find the tag.
And Lip is just going to shoot at anything he can here, and that's why he's got more ult charge, that's why he's doing more consistent damage output, that's why the shields are more consistently broken. Happy's trying to flank, he's trying to hit headshots, like he's playing a sniper hero instead of a DPS, consistent DPS hero, which Hangzhou is in this meta.
I mean, if you want to compare just the numbers straight up, like the damage here for Happy is not very good. Hero damage done, 781 for him compared to the 18, now 1900 for Lip, so it is entirely one-sided in favor of Lip and Shanghai. Gravitic Flux coming through, Kronk still a ways away from him, pushing people up into the air, will slam them back down, but the Immortality Field awaits. See, they're still quite low, however, will slowly get topped up and drops in that Amp Matrix around the corner. Another accretion coming through in the back end of a halt, and Rio will fall. So it seems like, yet again, it's just going to be Shanghai maintaining control of this point, down to a minute 20 seconds for the Guangzhou Charge.
And one of the unsung heroes here that we haven't really been talking about for Shanghai is actually Stand One. His halts have been really good, pulling the team apart. Not always going for the kill halts, but actually splitting the team in half. And that's what can really set up a lot of great kills. Look at this flank, too.
Just keeping everybody
He's knocking him out.
Bundled up. Rio taking quite a bit of damage as the Bongo does get thrown down. The supercharger from Stand One. And you can see,
One takes...
they're just like, okay, we got to wait this out.
Yeah, he takes a flank angle, drops his shield, pulls them out, and the rest of the team comes to the other side. Here's a blizzard, huge blizzard!
And straight in at the feet of Rio. He doesn't fall, but Kron does. Gravitic Flux not going to be able to be used in the Transcendence of Shu, unable to keep his Sigma alive. Now just going to be spamming away. Happy finally finding a pickoff as Lip will fall to the headshot. Bolt through, they're looking for a couple more tags. Picking up Stand One, will be able to retreat back over to the point. Supercharger around the corner, but met with the Amp Matrix. But now have to be extremely cautious with the Guangzhou Charge as they try to move forward. Another Flux here from Void, slams them down, but yet another Immortality Field keeping them alive. Happy finds a second pick. Accretion going to be going wide here from Void. Absorbing quite a bit of damage, trying to get that shielding through. Immortality buys him so much time, but they will be able to freeze him and finish him off here right at the end. Flooded desperately swapping over onto the Tracer, is going to try to rejoin in here onto the point. But the HP bars for the Shanghai Dragons very much are in shambles, and it seems like the full hold not going to happen. So 2.5 minutes added to the time bank now for Charge.
A breath of fresh air, a sigh of relief for Guangzhou Charge finally as Happy makes those pickoffs happen. Getting that kill onto Fleta there at the end was the most important one too, because without that kill where he gets that body shot to Fleta finish him off, Fleta gets into Ice Block, he stalls the point, and then everything can change. Void has Gravitic Flux, and that was possibly a hold situation there. So finally getting that kill, huge for him. They get to save a lot of ults too, so this should be a pretty easy castle to skirt around.
They try, but shoot under a lot of fire. Ilios giving him quite the hard time. Shots coming in from Void, but he is overstepped. Went into the castle by himself, did not have double support, so it does get finished off. Fleta pushing up, trying to get the freeze here on the Nero, manages to find it. Can he get the kill? Mega Pack is picked up, and Nero will be able to survive. Big misplay
Nero
there
with the
from Fleta. Couldn't get that right shot, that right-click headshot.
That was actually insane. He got frozen there, he's able to sneak down, pulls away, survives, draws Fleta's attention, and that allows the rest of the fight to go into the favor of Guangzhou Charge. They had the ult advantage, but didn't even need to use it. And Shanghai has to break out of this choke to even contest B now.
Yep. Flip on top.
They have very little ults.
In the doorway, almost gets taken down. The shots flying out. Melting him, so those retreat Kronk pushed up towards the exit of the castle will fall. Now Neptuno eliminated as well. Maywall comes through, denying that Amp Matrix, so not able to find any real extra damage from that one. This will be the reset here for Charge.
Really, I feel like the Amp Matrix caught Guangzhou Charge with their pants down a little bit. I mean, Li Jaegon drops it out. It's a pretty common place to put it when you're coming out of a choke like that. The damage output coming from Izayaki and co. is enough to break Guangzhou Charge down. Just the Amp Matrix alone, that kind of catches them off guard. They could have played around different sightlines. They didn't. Now, to even touch the cart is going to be a challenge here. They're going to have to trance probably to touch, and that's going to lose them one of their most important ultimates. Izayaki should be able to use his second.
Neptuno's already gone. They don't have an Immortality Field on the wall. comes up, trying to cut them off. Rio gonna fall, accretion up into the air from Krong, unable to find anything. They'll just be hovering right above the ground as the Transcendence does come through. Hart, however, still not tagged. With 3 seconds remaining, can anyone make their way over? The answer is going to be no. They almost had the full hold, but instead will just go ahead and settle for the bridge. Very nicely done. Shanghai Dragons turning that back around.
Yeah, really nicely played around the Amp Matrix on the drawbridge. And I feel like if Guangzhou had just played a little bit more passively, I think the idea there is we're low on time. We had nearly a full hold. We finished A on overtime. We had 2.5 minutes. We're rounding this corner. We've got to bring the time bank back up. Eichenwalde pretty, common to get towards C. Getting through that drawbridge not as tough as it used to be in this meta. That's the idea. That's why they were playing so aggressively so far forward, but they got caught by that Amp Matrix. That's when things started to fall apart. That gave Shanghai back the high ground. And, a double shield versus double shield, you can see how much Guangzhou struggled just to even get out of spawn, to get onto the streets that lead to the drawbridge there. And, they had to trance in an awkward spot. And it's just, it all falls apart from there. You can't lose a fight like that when you don't have enough time to set up for ults again. In Shanghai, I think this map and this series feels like it's almost already written. I've seen it on the tablets. I've seen the prophecies, but I think Happy's going to have a great performance on this Hangzhou defensively here. That's what's, I think, really going to determine how this goes. He's going to have to shoot at shields. He's going to have to play more passively.
Defend objective A.
Well, pushing out now. It's going to be much of the same as we continue to have these mirrored compositions so far on Eichenwalde. Their way up to the choke. Void, not wasting any time, just charges his way forward and lands that accretion stun onto Krong, but they can't capitalize. Protective barrier is just going to be recalled now as it goes considerably low. Wait for that to recharge for a while. But with the Discord Orb, really eliminated, fell down to below half HP. It's going to be a slow and steady push here for the moment. For the Shanghai Dragons, Void under some fire around the side, tries to keep himself safe. And Stan with a melee hit manages to find two, then follows up to find Rio. The Hulk back Happy has nowhere to run. Lip was there to go ahead and capitalize on the headshot. And all of a sudden, it's going to be 5.5 minutes in the time bank for Shanghai Dragons. They just make it to the bridge.
So methodical from the Shanghai Dragons. They played around cooldowns. They see Rio drop the barrier. They break it, move forward, force out Immortality Field, an early Ice Block from Nero, pull back, wait for the Immortality Field to go down, wait for Nero to be out of Ice Block, focus on Nero, he dies first, and then everything goes according to plan after that. Very slow, very careful push from the Shanghai Dragons, very cooldown based. Happy's got this high ground controlled here, but he does not have his ultimate, so can't stop this with Hangzhou alone.
Looking for the halt off the side of the map, but Happy does have that extra lunge, so jumps his way back to safety. Try and maintain that high ground control that you're talking about. Krong rotating up as well. See, there's an uncertainty here for the Guangzhou Charge of what the game plan is for Shanghai Dragons, what their approach is going to be. Krong just wanders all over the map trying to find somebody. Pushing their way
They're just
up.
letting this bridge go for free, basically. They've got to collapse down.
And they finally make their way here. The cart will be stopped just under the archway. And going to be retreating for the moment. Krong falls lower and lower. The accretion tossed out, not able to find the stun, so it doesn't set up for a potential kill for the rest of his teammates. Void, however, just going to be looking to focus on building up that gravitic flux and then try to break open this defense of the Guangzhou Charge. Changing shots, the Blizzard comes in, will toss the Dragon Strike straight out across that Blizzard. Flutter falling low, but says, hey, you know what? I've got an Immortality Field, so I can stand right in this. I don't care. And that will be cleanup coming through. Instantly, four members gone on the side of the Charge, and this is the victory box right here that Flood is standing in.
That's almost certainly the map. Look at this. Caught out is Happy alone. He can't rejoin his squad. They have to go through this choke. There's a Dragon Strike.
They need a big...
They've got one shot.
They need a really big Blizzard from Nero. He needs to survive. He needs to get that thrown down and gets multiple members. Lee Jae-gon is behind
Lee Jae-gon
them, has the Amp Matrix. They hold the fort so he can try and get a shot, but all the halt down off the top. They manage to find the kill, and maybe they can actually hold on to this Blizzard, because Nero has not yet expended it. Right here onto the point, Rio, he's ready to go. Just spamming away, drops down. Rabongo empowering his team, and they will be able to hold them back. The Blizzard used there at the end, however.
Yeah, they had to use everything, unfortunately. But hey, I mean, you've got to take a bad ult trade to stay alive sometimes. I mean, that's just how Overwatch works. 3 minutes to go here, but if they can hold this high ground here, they've got a really good fighting chance, because Shanghai also traded ults to try to win the map straight up instead of playing ult efficiently. Especially that Amp Matrix from Lee Jae-gon. I mean, he's crazy. He's trying to win the map off it. Didn't work. It'll build quickly, but time is ticking down. Once again, there's letting them go around here for free.
Yeah.
Backing off.
Long wraparound so Void can get up here onto the ramparts. They're trying to cut off the healing from Nero, throwing that projected barrier forward. Now the May wall. They get the freeze onto him. Immortality field coming out. Nero barely going to be kept alive, but still is chased. Yeah, into the corner he goes. And in the corner he will remain. Lee Jae-gon gets rid of Neptuno as well, just coming out on top. Happy manages to find one, but is that going to be enough? Now Shu is gone as Izzyaki is on the hunt. Will be hunted, however, in the end by Happy. The cart continues to roll forward. Someone's got a tag. Rio makes his way in from behind, looks for a hold off the side of the map. Seems like he's not going to be able to find one. We will see. Bongo coming down now from stand one, empowering all of his teammates as they try to clean this one up. Nero and Neptune both going to fall. Stand one taken out by Shu, but a Gravitic Flux pulls them off the cart, and they will be able to inch their way through to victory. Shanghai Dragons, they take Eichenwalde, and they take the series.
Very one-sided series for the Shanghai Dragons. You know, I mean, we spent a lot of time talking about issues that we saw from Happy, and it feels like we're putting all the blame on him. But just overall, Shanghai had better steps. Their ult usage was much cleaner. I especially enjoyed watching how they would try to force trances. They would use Gravitic Flux first to force out a Transcendence, then use a Blizzard, or vice versa. Kind of like how you would use trance or force trances versus EMP and Gravitic or Graviton Surge rather. Lots of really calculated and coordinated plays from Shanghai. Very patient, very much forcing out immortality fields and punishing Nero and Happy, who couldn't operate as a unit. And Happy not having a great Hangzhou and trying to play other heroes at times, I think really cost Guangzhou in this match. And with the hero pool that we have, they couldn't run Eileen on something like Doomfist Sombra. They couldn't run Winston. They couldn't run traditional dive. So, I mean, Winston just having Winston gone and Lucio together, like those two heroes are so essential for so many different forms of dive. And it feels like Guangzhou just wasn't ready to have that secondary Hangzhou player set up. And Happy just didn't fit. And Shanghai played a mechanically amazing series.
Yeah, honestly, really great mechanically, as you said, but also really great coordination from these guys. Seems like the synergy has been really built up. They're very much on the same page, but that's where this next part gets a little bit difficult, Wolf, because, you know, as far as a conversation of player of the match, who do you go for? Because in his first match for Shanghai, it was very clean. It was very just well done. So how do you isolate a singular person to pick for player of the match?
It's hard to say. For me, I think I'm leaning towards Lip. As much as Fleta had a great first two maps, especially his performance on Nepal, I think is what got them that first map when we might have been going into a fourth map. Just there, Fleta hadn't had so many clutch performances. But I think for me, it's Lip because of his matchup win versus Happy, how much he controlled that matchup and how much more damage output. And by the way, that matchup, I don't mean 1v1 as in like Lip was getting headshots on Happy all the time and killing him all the time. In fact, it was the opposite. I think probably Happy had more solo kills on Lip. But he played Hangzhou better. He played more consistent Hangzhou. He did the damage output that Hangzhou needs to do in this meta. He wasn't off on flanks. He wasn't alone. And for me, I go with Lip in this situation. I was hoping I would be saying Lee Jae-gon at the end of this series, but I got to go to Lip.
I mean, those two, in fact, as well, though. Lee Jae-gon, I thought he had a fantastic debut. His Baptiste looked fantastic. There was some wonderful timings on those immortality fields to keep his team topped up. A couple, rookie-ish mistakes first time playing in the Overwatch League, but
some showmanship there on Eichenwalde, perhaps.
The fact that he has the boldness to go for that kind of play, just sitting behind them, using the Amp Matrix for himself. I love to see that kind of stuff. Unfortunately, it didn't work out for him, but if he can just clean that up and well with the rest of the Shanghai Dragons, then I think it's a very bright future for that organization here in 2020. But guys, we're just getting started. It's 5:10 in the morning here on the East Coast, and we've got another match coming up for you in just a little bit, so make sure you stay tuned because it's the Chengdu Hunters going up against the Hangzhou Spark, and you don't want to miss it.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by ZipChair Gaming, the official chair supplier of the Overwatch League, and by TeamSpeak, the official voice supplier of the Overwatch League.
It's a good first cast. Very easy, unfortunately. One-sided matches are easy to cast.
This is it, the official Overwatch League apparel. Designed by Staple, engineered for gamers.
I'm going to another level. free now.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Overwatch League. We are back in the action. If you're just joining us, can't really blame you. Might be really early in the morning like it is for us over here on the East Coast. Wolf, of course, is with me as well, joining from Los Angeles for a very special remote broadcast. And so far, so good. I mean, especially if you're the Shanghai Dragons, we're able to take that series 3-0 for our first one in a very long day, a very long weekend of matches.
Yeah, very long weekend of matches, but we're starting them off pretty quick.
Yeah.
As I said unknowingly, one-sided matches are easy to catch. We got through that. We got through that first one. Fun to finally cast Overwatch League again. But now we're going to take a look at our other Chinese rosters, the other side of our 4 teams we have.
Yeah, that's very true. We now have the Chengdu Hunters getting ready to go up against the Hangzhou Spark, so we can go ahead and get everybody's debuts in here this weekend, and these guys especially tonight. So we'll see how these guys fare, because Guangzhou Charge couldn't really hold a candle to Shanghai Dragons after that first round of Nepal. So now we're going to see how these guys square up and who will be able to walk away with a victory. Starting us off, though, let's take a look at the Chengdu Hunters and what their roster is going to be here, kicking things off for us.
Yeah, Chengdu Hunters, one of, I think, everyone's favorite teams, even if you're not, really a fan of them or you're great compositions last 6, though, for today. Among is in on main tank with Elsa, bringing up the flex tank. Leave, for his debut Overwatch League match, will be on the starting lineup. Molly is coming in as well as a new player from China, and Veltal, of course, rounding things up. So, Leave, by the way, if you've never heard of him, sick DPS player, incredible DPS player, 18 years old, finally eligible for Overwatch League, and he comes from a very, very strong background. The Miraculous Youngster team, for those who remember it back in the day, is where he got his start with Late Young, who's also on this roster but not on our starting 6. And this is a team that's really bolstered its roster in a lot of ways, a lot of really young, powerful talent from China. Again, Chengdu Hunters, the only one of these Chinese teams that's not really going Korean, just staying completely Chinese, and that means there's perfect coordination, there's no language barrier, and I think it's going to take a little bit of time for this team to kind of gel together, but they have had a lot of time to prepare because of the coronavirus situation, because their matches were so heavily delayed. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how they're going to do in their debut match here tonight.
Yeah, plenty of time in the hyperbolic time chamber to go ahead and try to get practiced up. Already seeing a bit of Wrecking Ball from Stand 1 in our first series is good signs for Among especially, and for Among enthusiasts who want to see him back on that Wrecking Ball, which I'm sure that we will. On the other side of the coin, however, we do have the Hangzhou Spark. And we'll go ahead and take a quick glance at these guys, because not too much different. It's pretty much the same.
No, I mean, that's the thing. I said this.
I
said this before. I'll say it again. I think minimal changes in the offseason for a team that performs well, ends up finishing in the upper echelon of Overwatch League. Because the 2 teams who made the grand finals, Vancouver Titans and San Francisco Shock, were just 1 tier above them. I think a lot of people forget how well Hangzhou placed at the end of things in 2019. They were up there, top 4 team at the very end. This starting lineup, basically everything you'd expect to see: Adora and Godsby as DPS, Gushwei coming in on main tank, Rhea, etc. They did add Otto, former Shanghai Dragons player and former Washington Justice player, as a backup DPS, and they've added Coldest and Mika as well, 2 Chinese players who I don't know if we'll see playtime, probably not in this series, I don't imagine. And Crystal, of course, is removed from the roster, no longer on this team, so that's one of the big changes. So no backup DPS from last year's roster. Anyway, Sasin as well is on this roster, and he may end up playing Pharah if we see that in this series. So far, what we've seen, no Pharah, though, so I'm kind of leaning towards not going to happen. At least that's what we are seeing so far.
Yeah, I mean, just hearing from people seems like it's not going to be the most prevalent pick, so probably won't see far. But there's other heroes that, of course, we will not be seeing as we go ahead. Well, let's go ahead and review the hero pool yet again, in case people are just now tuning in, or perhaps you already forgot what the hero pool is. Taken away this week is going to be the Winston, the Lucio, Soldier 76, as well as Sombra. And I mean, two of those that really stand out to me is the Winston and the Lucio. You've got IDK and Gushwei, 2 incredible players for both of those picks. And now not going to be able to run them. So maybe that could be a bit harmful for the Hangzhou Spark here in the series.
Not to mention that Godspeed Sombra is really good. Adora, a great Genji player, and we've seen a little bit more of a resurgence of Genji as of late. And if we had Dive available, if we had Winston available, that's something we certainly could have seen. And you know Chengdu Hunters like to drag their opponents down to their level, so who knows what crazy strats we will see, but I gotta say, I think the hero pools definitely favor Chengdu, even though they come in, I think, as underdogs here.
All right, well, we'll have to see what happens when we do get into the maps. For our map set, of course, we'll go ahead and see. It's going to be, starting us off, it will be control is Ilios. And from there, we will just continue to plunge deeper into the series and see exactly how many maps we can end up on. We will have Escort for Dorado, Hybrid, Numbani, and then if we can go to 4 and 5, that will be Paris, followed by Oasis. And of course, there's always that caveat of potentially getting to even further maps. We already saw that from a certain renowned series earlier on in the year that went to 7. But something tells me that that will not be occurring here this evening.
Well, you know what? Taking a look at what we see so far, I think it's just a tease, but Adora and Jinmu both have Genji locked here for the start of Ilios. Talked about how it's difficult to run that without a Winston, but with two great Wrecking Ball players, I mean, Gushue, obviously more known for his Winston, but he's also a great Wrecking Ball player. I mean, they are going to run it. We are going to see Dive here with Brigida as kind of a soft counter to both DPS sides. Love to see the pink Wrecking Ball, my favorite.
Yeah, you got the baby blue and the baby pink coming through there. Adora going to have to get out. Dash to the side as the stun comes through onto lead, but that kill pressure, that one shot out from the Brigidas on the Tracers, no longer a thing. That is a relic of the past, so he is able to escape with his life intact as Jinmu, keeping a safe distance, is trying to build up for that Dragon Blade, and maybe find a straight kickoff with a Shuriken, but so far it is eluding him. Tracer duel coming through rudely, interrupted by Gushue. Will lead to Leave's demise, so he will leave the fight, and that will be the first lockdown initially for the Chengdu Hunters, but very swiftly taken by Hangzhou Spark.
Now this is some Chinese Overwatch for you.
Oh yeah.
Well, Adora hitting 60% of his blade, he'll have it first. That 13% pretty negligible for the Hunters. The Brigida here, as you can see, not only gives you that extra armor pack to keep your squishy dive DPSs alive, but also can help shut them down. And Eviltal is going to have to get that stun.
Full spawn there on the wall. Yeah, doesn't get the stick, but still does help lead to Elsa getting D-Mech stun coming through. But again, Godspeed going to be just fine. Monk just managed to find one as Bebe will be taken down as he swings away with a grapple hook. He's trying to exit. They have a couple people hot on his trail, but Monk, ever elusive, does manage to roll out to safety. Same cannot be said for Leaf, however, who does get picked off screen by Adora, who nearly has the Dragon Blade ready to go. A 25% lead over Jinmu.
Yeah, he's discorded. That will fade, so it won't be able to be tracked as well. And this means that Eviltal is going to have to hit that stun. He missed it just earlier on Godspeed. Did it too late, I should say. Pulse out.
Yeah, onto Rhea. And a bit of armor, though. Does survive, does keep the mech. The same cannot be said for Gushue, and now Godspeed falling as well. Yveltal finally able to lock him down. Gets that kill onto the pesky Tracer, alleviating a lot of pressure for the back line. Jumping forward, two members here on top of Adora. Nothing that he can do to try and stay alive. Will just fall in the end. That dragged both DPS members away. The Chengdu Hunters away from the point, so Flip does come in for Chengdu, but Hangzhou Spark are still very much back in the mix of things and trying to regain control. Currently at 76%. Looking to retake this one as Amon well overstepped, slowed up, discorded, did not stand a chance, got finished off.
All right, they need a blade now. Here it comes.
Yeah, up into the air goes Adora, the blade is out, just corridor tossed in onto him as well. He's got a little bit of armor to help his survivability. The Transcendence will be forced out from Molly, but already Eviltal going to be picked off as Godspeed manages to find a double kill. Jinmu going to be taken down. Headshots coming up from the Pulse Pistol. Down the Genji, stick coming through. The kill is there onto Bebe, but Gushue is quick on the revenge. Takes down the Leave, and the switch comes back through for Hangzhou, still in the lead, 80% to 50.
there's a lot to unpack here, and I don't have enough time to talk about all of it, but the main thing is great blade there onto Molly, separates Evoltal, then you see the pulse bomb come through from Godspeed to get that kill onto the Brig. Those are the two major moments there that might lead to a first round win here for Hangzhou.
Back and forth, Gushue. He has the minefield ready to go. A bit further behind. Mine's going to be dropped into the house, but seems like Molly and Elsa will be able to retreat successfully. IDK going to be eliminated as Amok swings his way to a kill. For a bit more, though. Sleeve is still quite far from a pulse bomb. Godspeed's about to have his, and that could be the tide turning all for them to try and maintain control. But Godspeed actually taken down as he tries to use the pulse bomb, loses out on it. And that is just going to be a sweep coming through, an extended one here at the hands of the Chengdu Hunters. So back in control as Hangzhou hits 99%, another lease on life for the Hunters.
Last time this situation occurred where you had Adora with a blade before Molly had Transcendence, they thought Molly had Transcendence, they tried to play around it, they tried to force the Trance out and use a later blade. They know Jinmu used his blade second, is nowhere near a Dragon Blade. If they can force the Trance this time, Molly will actually have it. They've got a good chance at this fight.
In the air, Adora getting some extra verticality. It's just diving on top of that pulse bomb.
During the rally too.
Yeah, didn't save anyone, didn't save himself. Does get eliminated. Now it's just trying to find. It's about trying to find an opportunity for Adora to unleash this Dragon Blade and not get ripped to shreds. Molly has that Transcendence.
Yeah, exactly. They don't get the Trance forced out, so now they have the answer, the Dragon Blade, and an extended team fight. It's gonna have to be a pick, I think, honestly, for Hangzhou here. Godspeed needs a pulse bomb badly.
Armor just now getting ready to wear off on the members of the Chengdu Hunters, but IDK and Bebe both eliminated. Now Adora gone at such a crucial moment. Self-destruct will be forced out from Maria as he tries to get back into the mech. They cannot stop him, but they can just go ahead and yank him right back out of that. Amok will finish him off with a pile driver. The O2 starts bleeding away after a very fantastic start. For the side of the Hangzhou Spark, you can see that very much swung back into the hands of the Hunters. They did not let it go, riding it from 50% all the way up to 100, and winning the first round of Ilios well is theirs.
It feels like there's a little bit of rust to be shaken off on the side of the Hangzhou Spark. A little bit of poor execution, poor ult tracking. Thinking Molly had his Transcendence during the first Dragon Blade Adora pulled there, or didn't pull actually because they tried to force a Trance, losing a fight. While trying to do that, Molly didn't even have Transcendence. It was a bit odd. We saw Rhea take the good old 3-point shot into the well with his bomb there, which didn't do them any favors, didn't get them any kills. Some small mechanical errors from IDK as well in terms of when he is hitting those stuns. I gotta say, this is the type of comp that Chengdu and Chinese players love to play. They're great at it. It's a scrappy composition, and Chengdu drags Hangzhou to their level once again, and that's never where you want to be if you're an opponent of Chengdu. So great start for them here in that first round.
And it will continue to be the dive. Wrecking Ball alongside D.Va with this Genji Tracer, so it seems like China has it all figured out. I'm always happy to see the return of this one as Rhea has to return to the back lines. Really gets pumped out of that mech quite early on. Lord Orbs being tossed around to either side, but so far no picks to be found, but several members falling lower and lower as Gushue goes under fire, rolls his way back, picks up that pack, keeps himself alive into the fight here for the moment. Godspeed going to be forced to recall as he nearly gets run over and turned into roadkill. Up into the air goes Gushue. He will not be returning, not with his life intact. At least he does get taken down as Jinmu dashes his way to a kill onto Godspeed. And this is already looking like, you know, at least 40%, 45% built up for the Hunters.
Oh, easily.
They can get over to the point and take it for the Spark.
I mean, Godspeed needs a pick here. That's their only hope. Trance is going to be up really soon for Molly, and then they're going to be able to take a great defensive fight. You can see Leave is tracking where Godspeed is right now, so he can't get away with anything. He's going to force him to trade blinks here, which means he can't actually threaten the backline. That's a great tracer-free-tracer play there by Leave. Force those blinks out.
Does fall low, but there you go. Recall will take him back up to 100% HP. Godspeed straight back into the mix. The pulse bomb does not stick. IDK, however, from behind with a flail manages to find a kill, but Godspeed as well is going to be eliminated. Yellowtall doing exactly the same thing, but swiftly thereafter, Gushue takes him off the side of the map. So his way to that kill. 65% now on the board for the side of the Chengdu Hunters. The Dragon Blade comes out from Jinmu. He's looking for a target, dashes up over the top, was trying to find a door, I do believe, could not find him. Gets absolutely nothing, and now it's about ready to be Adora's turn, but they lose out on Bebe, so they do not have that War of Harmony constantly sitting on the Genji, so it's not safe for him to go for this ultimate. He's gonna have to wait. Already 83%, and with members still dying on the side of the Hangzhou Spark, they have to get something done.
It's not looking good for Hangzhou here. Adora's Blade needs to be massive. He needs to take out Yveltal first.
Yeah, self-destruct was forced. They have the rally from Yveltal. He's going to be popping that one, trying to get the armor out onto everybody in advance of this Dragon Blade.
One shot.
Will be drawn out. He delays, jumps down. Stun instantly coming through. Looks for a new target, dashes over the side. But what are you going to do? There's just nothing for Adora to get done. The counterplay was there. And now lead into the back, hunting down Godspeed. Pulse Bomb is good. Manages to find Yveltal a few falls. Seems like Hangzhou maybe not going down without a fight as they try to make their way onto the point, but OT bleeding away faster and faster if they exit this point. Elsa going to be eliminated, taken off the side of the map by Gushui. Godsworth trying to find some opening kills here for the team. Among will finally fall. The flip is there. Hangzhou on the board at long last. 7% moving up.
They had to use everything for that. Adora's Blade there was like the saddest thing. Into a rally. He's trying to kill a rallied Zen who just gets armor packed. He's like, well, I'm not going on to Yveltal. He's got armor. I can't blow him up. I'm gonna get stunned. Like, remember when we all were mad at Brig back then?
I'm
Rough,
sure some
man.
people still are, Wolf.
I mean, look at the ults here, though, for the Hunters. They have a massive advantage.
Yeah, Pulse Bomb out from Leave. It's a little bit of damage, a smattering of it, but does not find a kill. Already things still looking quite good. Transcendence going to be forced out from Molly, so uses that one. Adora nearly has that Dragon Blade ready to go. Bebe going to be using his own as Jinmu draws out the blade. Trance to keep himself and everybody else alive. Stuns coming through. Jinmu trying to get that Mega Pack, but there isn't one there. Saria just barrels him down, but Elsa is still doing work. Manages to find Bebe and make an exchange on the Zenyatta's as Godspeed gets for the Molly. Saria going to be knocked out. Still in control now are Hangzhou, 55% on the board for them, but they lose out on their main tank. Godspeed is still alive, has a Pulse Bomb, but would need to be the cataclysmic Pulse Bomb to try and turn things around right now. Stick comes through, Yveltal dies, that'll do for him. There's still a solid target found. Dragon Blade drawn out, they don't have the rally here as Yveltal was picked off. Would have had it available in time for the Dragon Blade, but that being said, it still doesn't net much for Adora and for the Hangzhou Spark. They get Elsa out of the mech, but Gushui swinging through Jinmu and taking him down. That is doing them a lot more favors. Back on the board are Hangzhou, 62%.
And Chengdu should have been a little bit more conservative with their ults when they had an advantage. They tried to end the map early. They tried to take that fight, toss the ults in, committed, and lost all advantages they had. Now, when you look at the ults across the board, I mean, slight edge definitely in favor of Hangzhou Spark. They're close to a trance, and they have that self-destruct.
Rolling into the back, solid pile driver comes through, and the
there
bomb
it is
from Rhea manages to find both supports. Bebe taken down with that Pulse Bomb from Leave, but it would take such a significant amount of work from the rest of the team, the remaining members of the Chengdu Hunters, to try to turn this around, so just have to wait for the full reset and get back over here. Amon gonna have to tag, but he is already under fire. Pops the shield. Can he make it onto the point? He does. Barely in time, but then gives his life for the cause. Pulse Bomb coming through. This time from Godspeed, unable to find Yveltal, where otherwise he has had his number with those ultimates. This Cold Orb is out onto Elsa. Runs out of that D-Matrix now, using it again to try to mitigate some of this damage coming through as Godspeed continues to harass the flanks of this Nina mech. Rhea going to be popped out in the meantime, however, as Jinmu gets closer and closer to the Dragon Blade. Adora, however, has his first, gets into the back line, finally finds a kill as Yveltal will be taken down. Resheaths the blade, but has the right click to go ahead and knock Elsa out and get the finish there onto the Baby Diva. Jinmu gone, and they're off the point. They close it out 100-99. Another extremely close round between these two teams, and one final one will go ahead and decide the victor of Ilios.
It's again, I mean, the little things that are causing Chengdu to have problems mechanically in these scrappy fights. They're great at the ultless fight, where you see Jinmu get better dash reset kills. The setups are better. You're seeing Leave in a lot of ways do more than Godspeed in the back line. Yveltal shutting down Adora's blades left and right. But when it comes to ult leads and when it comes to small advantages, they're making the wrong decisions. And that's where the intelligence and the experience of the Hangzhou Spark players, I think, is really winning out. We got to see that really cool pile drive combo there with the bomb to kind of seal the deal. And now we're going to see a Sigma comp here, very similar to what you see on Nepal Village. You try to rush to the point with teleport, and then you fight on the point and get that charged up.
But
Very much a comp that has a good staying power.
Yeah, but you have to get that first hang, and if you do not do it, then you have to be willing to swap off. The teleporter coming out, everyone jumping over. As the turrets will get set up, and the barrier is placed for everyone to just sit behind, nice and snug. And now the onus is on Chengdu, so really good first start. Chengdu healing back. Perhaps we're going to be seeing some swaps, and yes, we will.
Have to swap. Yeah.
Okay, Farah from Jinmu.
Yeah, Jinmu, perhaps one of the most, well, I mean, I'd say perhaps. We know Jinmu is one of the most famous Farah players in the Overwatch League, and arguably second only to Ding in terms of results. But it's tough to get in there. It's going to try to find an angle here, but the barrier is there. It's going to have to do more than this. Leave's going to have to set up some disruption, or else this is just free percentage points, free ult charge coming through the Spark.
It's been rather impressive so far from Leave with the Tracer. See what he can get done with the Doomfist. He jumps forward. Well, it's not going to be much as the turns go ahead and melt him down, but Jinmu did manage to find Godspeed. Fortunately for Godspeed, turns still work after you have been eliminated. Jinmu just gets right up and personal with Rhea, taking him down. And the rockets aimed at his feet. The turrets are still there, looking for that knockoff. Nearly found Guangzhou. Send him off the side of the map, set for a little bit of a sleep dart now. Close range barrage going to be dumped in. 2 kills instantly, and he will be able to survive through all of it. Something that you never really see when there's a Sigma, when there's an Orisa on the enemy team. A barrage at that close range, but he gets through it.
He gets through it. I mean, when you get that kill on the Godspeed early, who's now going to swap over to the answering McCree, you get that early pick, that's huge because that's the majority of the damage output on the point, and you can't really deal with the tanks on the ground. It's not even about the far necessarily at that point once you lose that incredibly important Symmetra. See if Godspeed can find an angle here on Jinmu.
Gets halted, a couple good shots coming through, one more would have been the finishing blow and maybe forced out ill-advised res from Yevaldal, who historically has been the king of getting reses off in sticky situations. You do hear that gravitic flux coming out from Elsa, pushing 2 up into the air. They'll get dropped back down. Gushway popping the 4 to 5 to make sure that he is going to be safe. Grecian comes in, Godspeed falls low, but still manages to stand up and cut down Leave. So the flip is there, 65% here for Hangzhou.
Achilles, this is another of those situations where you talk about ult usage, you talk about decision making. If Yveltal pops Valkyrie, you've got the Gravitic Flux committed here in this fight where, you know, your opponent's at 60% if they get the cap. It's not a one-fight territory map. You don't have to commit those ults. Now they have no tools. Yveltal with a late swap here onto the Zen, and they're just a bit confused about how to proceed. It's a really awkward spot. They need a team fight win. They need a big meteor strike, but nothing to set it up.
This corridor right now is out on the Among. They got to be perhaps banking on Nano onto the Doomfist. He goes into the back line. They look for the Gravitic Punch. Rhea trying to catch him, but cannot do so. But Godspeed taken down and Leave re-arriving after the Meteor Strike gets the punch on the IDK. It seems like the plan, albeit not the most well-thought-out plan, it still functions.
Yeah,
it will be the Hunters back in control for the time being.
You're absolutely right. What Rhea was trying to do there, too, was to try to catch Leave before he could get that Meteor Strike off. And instead of using the ult to just take a longer fight there, or perhaps just hold it and wait for a next fight with Trance, it fails miserably. So, excellent opportunity now given to Hunters to actually close this map out.
So that ult was a bit wanting, but it's all right. Bionade connects onto 3. The reapproach to the Hangzhou Spark. Adora under some fire, forces the ice block already. Tries to get the freeze here on a Leave, is unable to do so. Flux comes through, forces a trance out from Bebe. That is absolutely huge. Now can they hold the point? And Matrix has been tossed in by IDK so far. Really only Gushway profiting from that one, and it will expire, so nothing found. No picks to be had on the back end of that one. And Adora, did he just lose Blizzard? I believe he did.
Yep.
Sun out of it. Maybe we can get a replay on it, perhaps, but either way, Adora tri-seams the Blizzard, instantly loses it. That is the team wipe. That is 100% for the Chengdu Hunters. 3 back-to-back rounds, 100-99s. But it is, in fact, Chengdu who come out on top.
And it's with 3 different unique compositions as well. Very impressive to see how they executed that. And, I mean, what's so scary about Leave is he's a player who can play so many heroes, regardless of the meta, regardless of what hero rotation we have for the Hunters. Leave can play almost every DPS hero in the game to an extremely high level. And his Doomfist, what's scarier about his Doomfist is not the punches, it's not the kills that he gets, it's where he stands, it's how he threatens your support line, how he threatens your tank line, how he makes you move somewhere else, or he will kill you, but he's gonna get to a place where it looks like he might punch you. You've got to go around a corner, then he just goes somewhere else. He's such a terrifying Doom to play against.
Terrifying Doom, terrifying Tracer. I'm excited to see what else he's got up his sleeve here for us. Like you said, the guy's got depth, and he is making a very explosive start to his Overwatch career here in 2020. But man, really solid start to the game, extremely close. Maybe we can get more of that when we return. Right now we're going to go to a quick break, and when we come back, we'll have map number 2.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by ZipChair Gaming, the official chair supplier of the Overwatch League. The Overwatch League is brought to you by Pringles Wavy. Big crunch, big flavor.
And welcome back. We have just had one map played so far in this series between the Chengdu Hunters and the Hangzhou Spark. And oh boy, knife's edge for all 3 rounds of Ilios. 100-99s every single time. Can we continue that? We're going to find out here as we get ready to go into our second map, which I do believe is Dorado.
Yeah, and this is I don't know if we have a term for this, but
let's make one up.
Overwatch, swap Overwatch, where you have counter compositions coming through that I think a lot of people really like to watch. When you see a Sombra, or rather not a Sombra, that's not allowed.
That's not allowed.
If you have a Symmetra comp, then you see a Pharah come out, then you see a McCree to match the Pharah, you see a Doomfist come out to kind of change it up. I love to see, especially on control maps, Overwatch when it's played at that level. I feel like that's kind of the way it was designed to be played, and I'm hoping we're going to see a lot more diversity of compositions from these two teams. Chinese Overwatch, like I was saying, that's where you see it. You see a lot of crazy comps out of China.
That's where, that's. I mean, watching Western Overwatch for a long period of time, playing on Western ladder, you get accustomed to, you think that this is the way, this is the thing, this is the standard, this is what the pros are doing over here, and then China comes in and it's just like, I'm about to ruin everybody's career because we're going to just change everything and flip it on its head. And if it doesn't work, we're going to keep doing it. And if it works, then we'll probably invent something else anyway, because it's just constantly in motion. So really fun to see the return of the Tracer and the Genji. Leave so far, really standout performer coming through. Very strong performance from him here in game number 1.
Yeah. We also did get confirmation that it was a sleep dart, actually, from Mali that did cancel the blizzard there.
Okay.
So that was what... that's what actually stopped that from going off, which really made a huge impact in that last fight.
Yeah.
And I have to say, what we're seeing from Mali so far in this series is, it feels like a pretty significant improvement over Kyo last year in terms of his mechanical ability. And we'll see if his decision-making can kind of follow through, because Kyo was a very smart Zenyatta player last year and helped them in a lot of really tough situations. But I feel like if we kind of see this trend continue of Mali having these really clutch moments, and he could also keep up mechanically with all the healing and everything else that comes with being a strong flex support, that we could see this player be, one of those new Chinese players that everyone's got their eyes on, because I think right now you're looking at Leave, you're hoping we're going to see Late Young, if you're a big Chengdu fan, you're kind of like thinking about the DPS to DPS, but there is this new player, Mali, who does look to be quite strong at the moment. I think we do kind of have to keep our eyes on him.
Yeah, it's a very strong start for him. So, looking solid. We'll have to see how things develop. Again, you got to take everything with a grain of salt. At the beginning of the last series, seemed like Guangzhou Charge is going to be pretty good throughout the duration of that, but things really fell to the wayside for them. So maybe the same will happen here for the Hunters. The only thing that I'm pretty relatively certain about right now is that this will not be a 3-0 blowout. If it is a 3-0, it's got to be the closest 3-0, one of the closest 3-0s that I've ever seen, because, I mean, these guys are going back and forth. They're doing the chest swapping constantly, trying to counter moves and whatnot, trying to think ahead and get those hero swaps coming through to get things back into their advantage. But it's I think it's going to be a really fun one. I'm hoping that I don't get burned on that. I'm hoping that this is going to be a very solid series after we already blew through the first one. But I
mean,
I have high hopes.
Even if it does end up being a 3-0, which seems unlikely, I don't think we're going to see one-sided matches like the ones we saw in the last series.
Yeah.
I mean, last series, obviously, not to dwell on it too much, but last series there were some fundamental issues with hero pool problems and how the maps were being played that made it so, I think to a wise Overwatch fan, you could look at it and say, okay, I could see where this is going, but based on what we're seeing with this series, it looks like it's more of a raw, mechanical game that we're watching. It's not about one team outsmarting the other necessarily, even though, there were some issues with ult economy for the Hunters on Ilios there. Overall, it's a more brawly series that I think we're going to get into, and it's maybe a little bit less finesse, but as a result, it does tend to lead to closer Overwatch.
Yeah, and I mean,
in general.
And that's usually really fun. Like, obviously, like, people can like different things. I know that you and I very much enjoyed Goat's meta because of the methodical and the cohesive play that had to come through in order to execute on that composition. We really like that.
You said people like different things. I thought you were going to say you and I, for example, like very different things. I was like, yeah, you like pineapples on your pizza, so.
I do. I will, and I will die on that hill, but only if it's got to be accompanied by ham. Because if it's just pineapples on a pizza, then what are you doing? That's just that's crazy talk. It's got to be pineapples and ham. It's got to be Hawaiian. Also, no onions. Get onions out of there.
Keep the pineapples away.
Onions have no place on a pizza, so just don't do that. But no, Goat's meta.
As long as it's not all mushrooms only, I'm good with mushrooms and onions on the pizza. But Goat's is kind of like, what kind of pizza is Goat's like? Is Goat's just a cheese pizza? It's like,
I don't know. I'm going to think on that one, Wolf. We'll try to figure out exactly what Pizza Goats is like, but we have a little bit of time to think about it because we're going to go to a quick break, guys. We'll be back in just a bit, so stay tuned.
It looks like he got it.
Right now it's pretty, right? And all of a sudden, huge explosion comes in, and it's like, bang! And there's some cold chaos and it's shitting. And it's going, and I'm like,
Download now.
And welcome back. Sorry about that, guys. Just had a couple little technical difficulties, but we got everything squared away, and we should just about be ready to dive into our second map of this series, which, taking a look at it, is going to be Escort, and it will be Dorado. So let's see what these guys are going to be pulling out, Wolf. Any big picks that really stand out to you for these teams?
I mean, I think Widowmaker definitely going to see a little bit more play potentially as we head into Dorado. I think that, you know, talking about Jinmu Pharah is definitely viable right now. So, I mean, I think anything is possible
Sure.
with these two teams, though. To be fair, the Chinese teams, especially Chengdu. So I never like to predict. I never like to try to guess with what they're going to do. Not this early in the season.
I'm always happy to see some Widowmaker from Godspeed, so we'll see if that is going to be the case. But we'll find out as time tells. Because like you said, it's very difficult to try and predict what exactly is going to happen whenever you get onto a map with these guys.
We can confirm that we have a substitution
Very true.
as well. Bacon Jack is in here, so leave out for this one. And Bacon Jack, a player that saw a lot more play towards the end of the 2019 season, and was, you know, mostly not really fielded that much throughout the kind of beginning and middle, so to speak. So excited to see what he can do. And Bacon Jack to me was, I feel like, never really a standout player in most fans' minds, because even though his name is really cool, like to most Western fans, I think people think about Among as the forefront of this team. They think about the strong main thing. They think about Jinmu and his abilities. And Bacon Jack was played so infrequently that I don't think he got a big name, but he's a very strong DPS player, and I imagine he's leveled up during the offseason as well.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't wasn't fielded all the time, but the times that he did come in, he was certainly shining. So we'll see him starting things with the Widowmaker, and Godspeed is going to be on the Hangzhou. So still a sniper, but just not the one that might have anticipated. Looking for a boot ball off the high ground. Jinmu will be able to find one, setting Rhea down below, but no way to capitalize on that right now.
Pharah Widow is very difficult to execute. I mean, Shanghai Dragons is the only team that could really utilize it correctly and play it to its perfect potential in Stage 3 last year. Very, very tough to try to force those members out of their shields and then get those shots. So we will swap to the Hangzhou. Yeah, Bacon Jack.
changing it up a little bit, making sure that they are matching here and running what is, I'll say, optimal for the match, for the time.
I mean, Jinmu has free reign here. There's no great way to knock him out of the sky here. IDK, the only one who really can. He's focused elsewhere, but, I mean, ground is being given here.
Yeah, but I mean, at this point, you can also just try and completely forgo the Pharah, ignore the damage coming out from Jinmu, and just kill everybody else down on the ground, because that's 2 members that pretty much consistently have to be up in the air. So Molly is going to be alone down on the ground trying to keep everybody else topped up. And when he's splitting between himself and 3 other people, that can be rather difficult. So it seems like that's just going to be the play here for Hangzhou. Jinmu is in around the back. He takes a little bit of tags, but is building up towards that barrage. So we'll see if he can get anything done with it this time around.
Good positioning for Rhea and Gushue over there on the left side. But, I mean, the damage is getting done here, but he needs to secure kills. There's no follow-up for Bacon Jack, who's done very little damage to anything but shields here. They need a pick before they can really take a straight-up fountain fight.
I will not waste this opportunity.
Rhea will probably not be able to absorb this rocket barrage. Don't get any, you know, Reddit ideas about that one. So he's going to have to be really mindful and put his barrier up.
Well, Bacon Jack going to be taken out, so Furlu delaying a Dragon Strike. He's at 38% compared to Godsby 64. Res will be good. Like I said, Yveltal always good for that. His teammates up even if they're in such a dire situation or dire position.
There's no hard initiation here for Chengdu. That's the problem.
And now looking for the poke damage here as they come down off the top of the staircase. Dora has built up the blizzard. We'll just go ahead and lob that one in. Not expecting Elsa to be able to eat that whatsoever. We'll get rid of the immortality field. That's going to be both tanks crumbling at the feet of the Hangzhou Spark. Bacon Jack only able to find one as he gets rid of Bebe. Still is going to be behind as far as the charge is concerned.
There's just no way to get... Oh, well, that's one great opening if you've got more of a team with you, but there's no way for them to get Jinmu into position to do damage. At far range, he'll just be blocked by shields.
Okay, another one, though. IDK going to be eliminated, so Bacon Jack starting to come online. The barrage out from Jinmu manages to find Rhea. As you can hear, cut quite short by Rhea himself, but still a very big boon here for the Chengdu Hunters, who have finally broken through and seem like they should be able to roll into point A unopposed.
Yeah, it was really just off the back of Bacon Jack finally getting past those shields, finally getting into position with the threat of a barrage, giving him a little bit more space to get those required kills. Molly helping out there as well. And they get to hold basically everything. You know, the barrage not being that effective, but they get to have everything else. 5 ultimates in the bank here. They're going to try to bait that immortality field if they can to look for the engage.
5 ults ready to go. 3 now for the side of the Hangzhou Spark as they will go and use the supercharger. Jinmu is picked off but gets rezzed by Yveltal, so he is straight back into the fight looking for that next barrage build up. The barrier goes out, blocks the enemy accretion. So we'll see the kinetic grasp coming through from Maria, building up that shield to try and stay alive. Spear's getting tossed up into the air, but just does not have the range to actually threaten Jinmu. Flux for Flux, up into the air goes Rhea, slam down, and the healing just didn't get enough to get picked off. Elsa finding that kill. Now the barrage comes through. Jinmu found his position, manages to get rid of multiple members of the Hangzhou Spark before he falls to Gushue. A team kill at the end of it all, and the cart continuing to advance towards point B.
If Jinmu hadn't, if there wasn't a res available there, you know, you could have even argued Jinmu could swap here to something else. But it's one of his strongest heroes, and Hangzhou will probably try to make one last Blizzard defense here once the door gets the last 14% of that ultimate right now. And so he's going to stick with this. They're going to try to control this gateway, this doorway.
Limited visibility for Godspeed. It falling does open up for Gushue to push forward, get that barrier placed down in front of the cart. So now Godspeed can continue to inch further and further out. Get better sight lines onto the Pharah and the Hangzhou.
And the, you know, Yveltal using that Valk there, I think is another signal that they're probably going to swap. The Widow caught them off guard.
Thanks for the assist.
And I mean, he's in a really surprise location, perhaps. If he had a barrage, you know, you might be able to do something there. But he's actually just costing his team valuable time right now.
Need to make something happen, and they didn't do it very soon, but Among just getting greeted with a boulder and absolutely destroyed.
Like, this is free time bank burn right now for Hangzhou. You're like, oh, Jinmu, you're over there. That's not a threat. I'm not worried about that. The rest of your team can't approach the point without your pressure. It's a 6v4 game they're playing.
I mean, if he had sucked his way in and had a barrage ready to go, perhaps that might have been the play, but yeah, the very questionable at the end. Now is wrapped back around to the outside with the rest of the squad.
Finally,
coming
he's
down
getting
from the
something
flank. Getting some nice damage in on the Goose Way as Elsa will fall. They push around the corner, desperately trying to kill off the enemy Sigma, but they are unable to do so. Maywall going to be drawn up, just creating some extra protection as the Dragon Strike will glide by. Starts across the top, gliding his way over to the side. Barrage comes down. Ice Block goes out, Jinbu falls. The res is good. Yamato keeps him alive as the Blizzard will be tossed in. Jinbu eliminated and everybody off the cart. Among unable to get there, so hold it just in front of point B here for the Hangzhou Spark. A win condition has been achieved.
Yeah, and I don't want to count our eggs before they're hatched, but it feels like we're seeing a pretty similar situation to what we saw in our previous series with the Pharah here. You know, you could relate Jinmu's Pharah decision to continue to play the hero, to continue to try to control space with it, to Happy's Widowmaker pick of the previous series. You can kind of draw some lines there. You could draw some comparisons. And it's something that, you know, at the highest level of Overwatch, you don't really often get to do, is to say, look at this pick, this doesn't make sense, or it's not working, and this needs to change. You know, in professional Overwatch, usually the players know best and will make that decision. But the stubbornness here for Jinmu is something, especially when he was hanging back on the flank instead of just jumping off and swapping, or at least jumping back and returning, that did not do them any favors, didn't give them a straight-up fight, didn't get them a strong engage. And Godsby's Widowmaker swap was actually the right choice. It not only threatened the support line that didn't have any pressure to help alleviate what was happening with the Widow because Jinmu was on the other side, but also just kept Jinmu at bay. I think we'll see Godsby toy around with this perhaps a little bit longer than just spawn, as I say that. Well, it's considering it. I think there's some real potential here versus Jinmu's Pharah with this Widow on Dorado.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that one. Godsby going to be scouting out. He's expecting it.
If he pops up, I mean, you could just get a kill, force a res.
He is playing very well back. Shots start coming through, so now they know the position of Jinmu. Let's see if they can get the Widow in position to respond. Bacon Jack.
It's so hard if you're Bacon Jack here.
Right now.
Yeah, you can't really challenge Godsby until they get closer.
Almost losing out on the Amon there. There's the Discord Orb. Helps cut him down. They do keep him sustained. Godsby continues looking for an angle, looking for a target that isn't hidden behind a barrier. Shields do get broken down considerably faster these days after the nerfs. So playing into the double shield, not nearly as painful as it once was. You can see Gushway's shield getting melted as the kite back around the corner and gets popped up by IDK, who nearly has that amp matrix ready to go. Gushway manages to find Yveltal, but it's the call to Fedora and Rhea. So likely going to have to be abandoned on the push here from Hangzhou and just pull back.
And I mean, right now for Hangzhou here, you just got to regroup, look for a strong fight. If you get a single pick onto Jinmu with Godsby, I mean, that's all you need to push forward. But the tank line advantage definitely to Chengdu in this choke point. And things are going to get worse for Hangzhou before they get better if Godsby can't get that pick. And this is really great choke point control for Chengdu. Godsby's now trying to look for a flank, maybe catch a support, anything.
You can see the wings going out from behind the towers, and Jinmu will be able to take him down. Pulls the trigger first, finds the kill. Wrapping around the backside is Rhea and Adora, but it might not matter as Jinmu drops in the barrage, manages to find Rhea, follows up, gets rid of the enemy Mei. Gushway finds the kill, but again, Yveltal right there with the revive, brings him back into the mix, and that is going to be another ult on the push for the Hangzhou Spark, and now you start getting worried. You know, Chengdu, they might not have finished the map, but they have a chokehold on point A right now.
Oh, they certainly do. I mean, look at this control of the choke, the ults they have now. Jinmu's barrage, totally warranted. I mean, you've been one of the biggest champions of Yveltal since he joined the Overwatch League. His res almost felt like it was queued before Jinmu died. Instantly gets the resurrect from a safe location. And Chengdu really have this on lock. Godsby, again, he needs a pick, or they need a good trans fight here. That's the one advantage they have.
Very good ceasefire there as Rhea tried to get some shielding with a kinetic grab. Minor pack going to be
They've
taken
got
by
to brute
Gushway,
force
but he's
this.
still below half HP.
The team's cut in half now, too. As you can see, Gushway is cut off. And they can't rejoin the rest of his squad, so they're stuck there. That may force Baby into trance.
Both of these Widowmakers under a little bit of fire, but the rockets coming down straight on top of Rhea's head, and Jinmu finds the 2-for-1 special. The Anadora again, staying grouped up, staying as a pair, now dying as one as well. Get finished off, and with 36 seconds remaining, a Blizzard and a Transcendence, nearly a Gravitic Flux. They have to go against 4 ultimates as well from the side of the Chengdu Hunters. This could just be a full hold.
I mean, I think it might be. Gushway uses Supercharger there to no effect. Bebe has to trance to just force them onto the point. They got to force the way onto the point. They got to use a Gravitic Flux. They're going to take a scrappy fight. They have to be the initiators. Ooh, that's a good stun.
Really good stun, but the Hulk delays any kind of collapse that could have been coming through. Nano Boost as well going to be used on the Jinmu by Molly to keep him alive. Rockets coming down, the Transcendence force out of Spanking Jack finds the headshot in on the Godsby. Here comes the Barrage, dropping that one in, gets rid of the Immortality Field. Kinetic Grasp buys a little bit more time, but does not matter. IDK manages to find 2. He gets rid of the Pharmacy duo, but in the end, it is going to be Chengdu full holding.
Very impressive from Chengdu. Really great plays from Jinmu there. There were some questionable moments on the Pharah through the street space, through B. I mean, there were some moments there where really, you know, you wonder what's the game plan here? Why are they not swapping? Why is he so stubborn? But if you don't have to play that part of the map on your defense, if you just get a full hold win, it just doesn't matter. And the execution was good. The unwillingness of Hangzhou to commit heavily to a fight with Transcendence, to try to fight on the point, to try to swap composition there with the Trance, try to get a kill, try to maybe run something different than the Widow or the Hanzo there in the end, really cost them A. And great choke point control from Chengdu. You could tell that was their game plan from the beginning. Their attack doesn't matter as long as we hold A, and that's exactly what they were looking for. And they succeed.
Well, a very solid round of Dorado there from the Chengdu Hunters, able to pick up that victory. So we got a series on our hands, ladies and gentlemen, but let's go ahead and see what happens when we come back for halftime. We'll see you in just a bit.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile. Rank up with America's first and only nationwide 5G network. And by State Farm. For auto, home, or renters insurance, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
And welcome back. Now it's time for Game Break, brought to you by Cheez It Grooves. And once again, it's just Wolf and I, and we're here to go over some of the action that we've seen from maps 1 and 2. 2-0 start.
Yeah, 2-0 start for Chengdu.
Kind of
surprising. You know, I mean, we didn't expect this series to necessarily be one-sided, but I think most people expected the better performing Hangzhou Spark to come out ahead, at least, you know, to give us, you know, maybe a 1-1, maybe a 2-0 one-sided, like could have been an option. Nobody really, I think, expected to see not only a 2-0 for Chengdu, but also to see, you know, how Dorado played out like that.
Yeah.
You know, we talked about earlier, if it's going to be a 3-0, it looked like it was probably going to be a close 3-0, and that still holds true. But Chengdu looked terrifying with Jinmu right now.
Yeah. I mean, it's looking less and less close as time goes on. We thought that, you know, Ilios was going to be indicative of a super close series, but we also kind of thought that perhaps from the first series as well. So this is maybe straying in the same direction as that. But for now, it's time. Do you know what time it is, Wolf?
What time is it? Ilios, tell me.
It's crunch time. So what do you got for me? Rapid fire. What you got? Go.
Well, I just want to talk about Hangzhou a little bit. I mean, I feel like Hangzhou has the potential to play better than this. I feel like they have the ability to shut down strategies like this. I said it when we were on Ilios. It feels like there's some rust. They have small advantages they don't utilize. They're a little bit quick, or slow rather, when they are normally quick to rotate their heroes around. I like what I'm seeing from Gushue. I like what I'm seeing from Rhea. The defense on Dorado was really good. But then on the attack, everything falls apart. There's just not a quick reaction. Godsby's trying to stick with the Widow. You see the Hanzo swap come through, not finding value, can't shut down Jinmu. And it just feels like Hangzhou is kind of playing deer in the headlights to a certain extent, not actually making the proper hero swaps when they need to be, and not moving as a unit, almost as if like they're waiting for someone to tell them where to be, or waiting for some sort of shot calling that isn't there. And you know, obviously I'm not in the comms right now. I don't know how the shot calling is going, but with a roster that's left relatively unchanged, with such a long off season to continue to hone that synergy, it feels like it isn't there. And I think it needs to be if they want to get the reverse sweep.
Yeah, I mean, the late swap onto the Hanzo there from Godsby, moving off of the Widow onto that pick. It was such a, I feel like it was such a catch-22 situation for him as well, because the moment that he got off the Hanzo, that opened up for Bacon Jack to have so much room with a Widowmaker of his own, and you could just see the, you know, shots coming in over and over again. So it was just really rough tidings for the Hangzhou Spark on that attack, but they end up getting held in the end. And, you know, this is, again, reminiscent of our first series of the day. Suddenly, we're at a spot where they need to reverse sweep if they want to find success, if they want to get that first match victory here in 2020. And as time goes on, it's just looking increasingly less likely. Managing to get that win condition to push into point B, and then unable to execute on it, unable to even get to point A, is such a bad indicator. So hopefully, for the sake of the Hangzhou Spark and their fans watching from around the world, they'll be able to bounce back into this series, put up a fight, and maybe take us to that Game 5. Stranger things have happened this season. El Clasico. We all remember El Clasico. But that'll do it for our Game Break presented by Cheez It Grooves. Thank you guys for watching that. We'll be back with the rest of the series after a quick break.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by HyperX. Unleash your style, unleash your fury. With HyperX Fury Memory.
And welcome back. What a series it has been for the Chengdu Hunters, currently leading 2-0 over the Hangzhou Spark. And it is time to kick it into overdrive. If you are Spark, if you're a Spark fan, send them your energy. Put it in the chat because they desperately need it right now. Full held on Dorado is not the way you want to go into the halftime break. So now with their backs against the wall, they have to try and persevere and pull off a reverse sweep.
That's right, and the map that we're heading to next, I think bodes well for Chengdu as well. We're going into Numbani. This is a map where Guangzhou has had a lot of success on Winston, for example, but with Winston removed and
that's gone.
How much dive we're seeing from these two teams right now, I think it lends itself to potentially seeing some Wrecking Ball on A. Pharah, strong hero on A. Like, everything about Numbani right now, based on what we've seen, I mean, we're looking at a Chengdu favored situation. I feel like for Hangzhou Spark, I mean, they can put a Dora back on the Genji. You know, one of the stronger Genji players has actually previously pocketed a Genji player throughout his Contender's Korea career on this map. He's very experienced on it. There's a lot of things that could go well for Hangzhou Spark, but momentum, like you said, definitely in Chengdu's side of the court, if you will. And, I mean, I gotta say, like, with how you're looking at these hero pools right now, it feels like Numbani is a map for Chengdu to just close us out 3-0, potentially.
Yeah, I mean,
really see it.
Teed up the potential complications at the the beginning of the match before we'd even gotten into map 1. That the Winston was gone, the Lucio for IDK is gone. So where do they want to go? I think coupling that with the lack of cohesion at times and the stubbornness from being able to swap off of Widowmakers onto Hanzo's, it's making for a really bad stew for the side of the Hangzhou Spark. So they really need to get their heads in the game and play out of control if they want to be able to take this series or even just take this map.
You know how much I hate a bad stew.
You like a bag stew is what you like.
Well, I mean, as we head into this map, I have questions about what Hangzhou will do more than I have about what Chengdu will do. That's actually kind of that's a scary thought, right? You think about Hangzhou as a team that plays standard, they play meta. You look at Chengdu, they usually do the opposite. But at this moment in time, I mean, when I'm looking at the comp that we're about to see from Chengdu, I think, well, this makes sense. This is good for the map, good for the hero pool, good for the players. See Guangzhou and Rhea on Rhine Diva, but I have question marks.
Well, we'll see how they fare. Pushing back right now, looks like Jinmu will be giving up the Pharah for now. Well, they're still thinking about it, never mind. Just looking for the little bit of the escort as Leave. Aw.
With honor.
Not letting him TP.
Just doing a good old Symmetra taxi. Not as good as the Lucio taxi when Lucio's unavailable.
Well,
you gotta do what you can. I mean, there's a lot of shields here at this entryway, but that allows Jinmu to flank, so it's all about Godspear right now. He has to keep Jinmu off their back.
pushing forward aggressively, getting those right clicks through. Imung going to be saved by that immortality field. Godspear takes him down, and even with a Bionade, Imung will be allowed to live for a little bit longer, it would seem. Godspear takes
as long as Godspear, he can keep the Pharah at bay, this is a winnable fight, absolutely, for Hangzhou.
Oh, around the back. That hit there on the Jinbu, can't quite get it. Zed is still relegated to barrier break duty right now. Is Godspear has to just keep constantly 180ing back and forth, and this time Jinbu comes out on top. He turned away for just a little too long and lose out on the McCree, and that was their best bet to get rid of Jinbu. Ice block already going to be forced out, but Rhea manages to find Yveltal. Jinbu dumping in with the barrage. Words are difficult in moments like these. Finds the kill onto Adora, and Guangzhou gets taken down as well. And this is looking so very good for the Hunters. The cap onto A, going to be coming through. No way to contest this again. If you are Hangzhou, Godspear nearly eliminated as he tries to just poke out.
Ilios, they had every advantage in the choke, right? They had ice walls to block people off. They had Reinhardt walls. They had pin potential setups there, you know, into those ice walls. They had everything you would ever want in a choke. But Jinmu's Pharah on the edge is what Godspear had to deal with, and he kept cycling his ammo by dropping those, you know, fan the hammers into the shields, and it became predictable. And eventually, Jinmu was like, I know what you're doing, I know your gig. It took him out, and that's the end of it. I mean, that's all it takes is one predictable moment like that, and you're done. Now Jinmu's going to swamp over to the main.
Shatter's going to be coming out. Good show with the Shatter. Manages to find the Fire Strike follow-up on Numbani to get rid of that Baptiste. And now this is going to be corner control for Hangzhou. So pulling the trigger and getting control at the most perfect moment here. Yeah. We know how brutal this position can be to try and retake as an offensive squad. So we'll have to see how Chengdu Hunters try to engineer this for themselves. But with 5 ultimates ready to go, this is looking like Hangzhou should be able to hold here for a significant amount of time.
For sure, they've got the ult advantage. They've got the Blizzard. Dragon Strike here to try to open this up.
Considerable amount of damage in, and Rhea's going to be forced out of the mech and has to use that self-destruct. We'll just get rid of the immortality field. Cleanup is still coming through from the remaining members of the Hangzhou Spark, and now it's looking like the Hunters are going to be the ones forced into a position where they maybe have to alter the composition. You can already see the changes coming through. Leave going to be moving over onto the McCree.
That's what I was going to say, is the comp that we're seeing from the Hunters just isn't a real comp. Like, now it's still, they're trying to figure it out, but it's still not really a thing, as they say. It's not a standard composition, but looks like they're going to try to swap into dive. That might mean that Jinmu swaps to Genji, and he does. As the words come out of my mouth, he swaps it. And that's going to be strong against the backline. You know, you're going to be able to threaten the McCree, you're going to be able to threaten the Ana, but the Brig makes it difficult.
The pile driver, Among not going to be coming back down. Discord Orb is out onto Guthrie, and Elsa manages to hound down Godsby. Getting rid of the Cowboy and forces Fedora now into the ice block. Jinmu will clean up IDK. That is both supports gone for the side of the Hangzhou Spark. And Dora still gets a nice shot onto Lee, but Among is just getting back into his comfort zone. Pounds him into oblivion, and 2 minutes, 10 seconds, they will start moving forward again.
The composition that we're seeing from Hangzhou falls apart like a house of cards when you end up starting to lose members. You need every piece of that composition to work together. You need Rhea to be able to help heal. You need the stuns from IDK. And Jinmu is starting to get dash resets, and it all just goes away. Godsby swaps over to Tracer. They have a Blizzard here. Godsby's just trying to buy time so they get this high ground back, and they will get it.
Jinmu, precarious spot. Does go ahead and take the dash backward. Gets safe for the rest of his squad. Meanwhile, Godsby is just trying to cause as much chaos in the back line as humanly possible. Now has the pulse bomb online. See if he can find a stick. Blizzard is out from Adora. Jinmu up into the face of Rhea. Trying to knock him out of that mech, but he's unable to desuit him so far. Dragonblade is extremely questionable and highly ill-advised.
And I think he's not going to swap either. This is not a situation where you swap. Like, that might have even been a fat finger. I mean, no, it couldn't have been a fat finger. I mean, it was very deliberate. I don't even know. I can't really give him much for that.
Well, either way, back into the fight. Leave opens things up with a pulse bomb. Manages to find Guthrie. Stakes him, but can they get more? He's going to be respawning shortly and returning with a shatter. There is no shielding available on the side of the Chengdu Hunters, who would have to be reliant on Molly's Transcendence to try to keep everybody alive. But if a hit goes through and he doesn't intercept it, it's good night, whoever that would hit. Self-destruct comes out from Rhea, forces them back off the cart. Still going to be holding 3.15 meters away from point B. Now 26 seconds remaining. Transcendence comes out first. Guthrie, he could just wait. Bomb up over the top from Elsa. Looks for a pick, manages to find Bebe. And IDK will fall as well. They have the cleanup now. Rhea going to be taken out of the mech. So Guthrie is going to be holding on to the shatter. But despite that early start with the Transcendence from Molly, he's able to rally them, escort them forward, and get the cap here on to point B, but it's only a minute and a half to get to the end.
The comp that Hangzhou is running is so reliant on ultimates, and like I was saying, it kind of falls apart like a house of cards. So even though Jinmu's Dragon Blade was shut down, I start to understand it more now. His blade is shut down by the stun he's taken out, but the chaos he causes and then the shield bash being on cooldown means Leave can come in with a pulse bomb. They're setting up so many fights. They're just constantly fighting. If they get one kill, their comp wins. It runs over Hangzhou.
Oh, Shatter now going to be coming through. They don't really have a way to mitigate this one, so the pit from Guthrie will just clean up the kill. This is going to have to be an abandoned fight, where Chengdu is just happy to get any ultimates that they get, which for that is the Nano and the Shatter.
this fight for Hangzhou too is a lot of ultimates committed. It's not, I mean, it's a win in the most technical sense in that they won the team fight, but it's a loss in that now there's a chance, you know, arguably for Hangzhou or the Hunters to finish this map. They're going to have a Dragon Blade, they're going to have Nano Blade. And IDK, he's not going to necessarily live through that this time. He's got no rally. And this is going to be a tough defense here. It's absolutely finishable for the Hunters with that Nano Blade. As long as he survives here.
Well,
here we go. Big dives, they're going for IDK.
yeah, looking for that stick, unable to find it, but Gonsby manages to find one on Numbani. Dragon Blade is out for Jinmu. He's going to be antied. He's looking for a kill. Gets rid of Bebe. Carves Rhea out of that mech, but it's still quite low. And it has multiple people attacking him. Tries to run up the wall to get away, but Adora cuts him down. Finds the kill. Have to get over to the cart. They do manage to tag it, but now Gonsby eliminated here on the defense. Pile driver from Among, not going to find anything. Everybody is beating and bashing him, but to no avail. Cannot find the kills. Bomb into the back from Elsa. Can't find anything. Among will just roll through, looks for another pile driver, and the blizzard comes out from Adora. It's on the back end of the cart, so not really zoning them away. The field team will start bleeding quite quickly. Jinmu dead, gonna have to respawn to try to get back. Among now gonna be taken out. It's all on Elsa and Molly to try and survive, but they actually walk off of the cart despite having the healing to stay sustained. A celebratory shatter will get dropped in by Gushue, but they do manage to stop them from finishing the map.
Really clutch pulse bomb there from Godsby, and also really good crisis management there on the side of Hangzhou Spark. IDK was under threat of a Nano Blade and a pulse bomb as he was being chased by both DPS's Jinmu and Leave. We're trying to eliminate him from the fight. If you get rid of the Brig early with the Dragon Blade, especially a Nano Blade, you usually have a high chance of success and getting a team wipe, winning that fight, finishing the map. Godsby gets the counter kill, and we don't see Jinmu pop off. We don't see him get those kills and get into position where he wants to be. Leave recalls early, and it was a very heroic defense there by Hangzhou Spark. The cards were definitely stacked against them there. I mean, especially when you're looking at a chaotic fight, which Chengdu always excels at. You've got Among who's about to get his minefield, almost had it. And he's shut down by really good shield bashes from IDK. Very impressive stuff from Hangzhou. But let's not get too excited for Hangzhou's chances yet, because remember what we just saw in Dorado?
Yeah.
Might repeat itself here. We've got Jinmu Farah on defense. This is a map that favors them. Godsby's already got that McCree locked in. He knows what's up. Let's see if he can have a better performance this time.
3, 2, 1.
Well, pressure is on for the defense.
Defend objective A.
Farah and the Hanzo. Elsa back over onto the Sigma. Godsby just out the gate, expecting to see a Farah from Jinmu, who just wants to be able to run this McCree. Getting into position for the sight lines, however, that's going to be a whole other animal in and of itself. So we'll see if he's able to finally clip the wings here of this pharmacy duo.
The Reinhardt here is just for this choke, so they can try to fight their way through this stairwell with an extra barrier. You know, having that mobile barrier is what they're looking for.
Wall has come up, Jinmu popping up over the top, looks to get them off the high ground already. Molly has fallen. Rockets coming in, the Immortality field will be finished off, and Jinmu needs to get a kill. Takes a tag there from the Ice Sickle, but will be finished off. Do not see a res coming through from the Emerald. Sliver of HP actually remaining for him. Somehow is still alive. Drop down comes in from Amon, but half HP, and this is just going to be a steamroll at the hands of the Hangzhou Spark, finally showing some real signs of life since that first map of Ilios.
Yeah, and it's, you know, you could see how comfortable they are when they're playing a composition that there's clearly playing, right? Godsby's alright, look, he's going to play the car. I'm going to run this for free. We're going to push up with Ryan. We're going to take a scrappy fight, drop down. I mean, that was clearly prepared from the beginning. I feel like Hangzhou looks great when they're playing the game plan, when they're playing to adapt, when they're trying to change heroes on the fly, or, you know, take a weird ult fight. That's when they're struggling. That's when they're looking like deer in the headlights. So let's see if this can continue. He swaps over now to the Hanzo, expecting a swap, and, you know, it's kind of the counter swaps do commence. But that's a great A take, and that's a confident A take. And I like the Rhea swap over to Sigma now as well. Double shield matching.
Yeah, 4.5 minutes is a lot of time to lead off the clock, especially with this point. Point B is rather difficult to defend unless you get that first corner. Once the cart gets past there, you basically have to fight on the point itself. Immortality Field's going to be used. The Shatter dropped in from Guangzhou with an Animus laid in on top of that. Leave an aim on both ball. Molly goes in to finally cut down the Reinhardt, but not until after the Havoc has already been wrought. So we'll just go ahead and see a very clean push forward with 5.5 minutes plus remaining for Hangzhou Spark for the final stretch of Numbani.
It's incredible what Guangzhou has been able to get done with the Rhine. I mean, obviously much more famous for his Winston, but he's playing a Lucio-less Rhine Sigma because he has that Shatter. He wants to get value. He forces himself against double shield into a position where he can get that value, and then just swamp back over the Orisa. They are down on ultimates right now, but huge timing, as you mentioned.
The members together looking for that accretion, but unable to find it. Protected barriers, just keeping people safe. Unless your name is Leave, in which case IDK has your number. Finds the Hangzhou as Godspeed goes on the flank. Wrapping around the back. We'll see the Gravitic Flux come through. There's IDK will fall. The accretion from Elsa gets rid of Godspeed. Manages to follow up, and that will finally be the cart, rather. Colted.
Yeah, and Jinmu with the Blizzard there, kind of. I mean, that's one of your tools you absolutely cannot be thrown away. They have double support ults coming up, which is, I guess, in this case, more of a one support ult. I mean, they've got the Trance, they've got Amp Matrix. But with a Blizzard here, you could have bought a lot more time. You could fight in the choke, you can take a more aggressive stance, you can trade up for ultimates. They didn't need it in that last fight, and that's an ultimate they're sorely missing now in this upcoming fight. If Trance gets forced here, if Molly has to use it, the follow-up fight, the next one where Rhea has Gravitic Flux and Adora has Blizzard, that's rough. So Molly can't have to use this Trance. Like, he has to hold on to this. If he keeps it, they've got a real fighting chance, but if he has to use it, they're in trouble.
We shall see what happens. Clock just now dipping under 4 minutes as Guangzhou will get finished off, so already solid boon for them.
So he holds it. The Amp Matrix gets a little bit of value. Very fast following ultimate, so not too bad here. But here's the scary part. Here's where Adora has the Blizzard. They've got Gravitic Flux, and Trance can't deal with both. Can only deal with one. Especially in the longer fight when Bebe will have his own Trance.
Well, yet another delay coming through as Jinmu gets the pick off onto IDK. Solid plays, keeping them in the game, but got through the Dragon Strike. Gets rid of Jinmu. The Transcendence is going to be forced out. Now that's going to expire, and the Blizzard is going to be still rolling. Amok frozen. Protected barrier thrown too shallowly. Elsa does not protect him. Gravitic Flux coming out from both, but Elsa going to be taken down mid-air, and suddenly Cart advancing with not far to go, and there you have it. We'll be able to push forward, so a series on our hands indeed. Hangzhou Spark able to get the victory here on Numbani. So 2-1 with Hunter still in the lead. They're not out of the woods yet. Still need a reverse sweep to take this, but showing way more signs of life here on Numbani than we've seen so far.
I mean, look, Hangzhou, when they play their game, when they play the game they prepared, when they play the very much previously set up game or very much established meta type game, they look great, you know. But when it's chaos, that's when Chengdu leads the charge. But for Hangzhou in that last fight, they were playing goats. I mean, basically, you know, I know you've got Trance. I know that if I use this ultimate, force out your Trance, stagger your ultimates, then we have the follow-up one, push forward to the cart. We have that ult advantage. I mean, that's Hangzhou Spark, right? That's textbook safe play in a more goats-esque meta. I mean, I say they were playing goats. They weren't playing, you know, goats, right, quote-unquote, but they were playing a composition where you force ultimates with yours, you win a war of attrition, ult trade, and that's the kind of playstyle that got Hangzhou Spark to, you know, to really being a top 4 team at the end of 2019. So they got to play their game, and now we have a series. Yep.
Well, we'll see if they can keep that ball rolling, bring us 2-2, tie up this series, and force out of Game 5. When we return, we're going to go to a quick break, guys, but when we come back, map number 4 is coming right up.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
how I run down the street, right? And all of a sudden, huge explosion comes in, and it's like, bang! And there's some cold chaos and it's shitting. And it's going, and I'm like,
Download now.
Welcome back, everybody. We are here in the midst of what looks like might actually be a real series. It is Chengdu now, losing their first map of it. Hangzhou up in a 2-1 scenario, but Hangzhou down in a 1-2 scenario, but bringing it back on that last map of Numbani. And I think Ilios is rejoining us now. Oh, we are in it. You're live.
Oh, hello.
Welcome back.
I'll just cruise on over into the camera shot all slow leg. What's going on? How's it going, guys?
I was just refreshing
happening?
everyone's memory on the score in our series right now.
Yeah, what was it?
2-1.
Right,
Chengdu.
okay,
Hangzhou
cool.
showing signs of life
Thank you.
on Numbani. I had to host for a second.
That's fine. I mean,
But it's just
sometimes
it's a
I
tradition
want,
for you and I.
yeah, sometimes I want you to share that responsibility. Normally it's me who brings us back into the break, but it's fun to pass it around every now and then. So if I throw you a curveball and just take my time using the restroom, that's all.
Normally when Seth goes to the bathroom during a break and isn't ready for the throwback, there's an empty chair next to me, so I know what's going on. This time I'm like, well, I don't know.
This is an empty box to your right. That's about it. So, but here we go. I can hear that music. Paris coming up, and it's been a while since we've seen Paris in Owls. So
everybody's favorite map.
Yeah, everyone's favorite. No, everybody absolutely loves it, and there's no dissenting opinion on that whatsoever. So
Sure, everyone's favorite map type and everyone's favorite map on it.
exactly.
Everyone's very excited to have it back in the Overwatch League after a short little hiatus.
I'm actually excited to see it because of the teams that we have playing right now. I think that Hangzhou and Chengdu especially can make this map extremely exhilarating to watch. That point A with the the river just behind it, Among on a wrecking ball. That's a perfect combination right there. So I'm looking forward to seeing what these guys are going to be piecing together for us and what kind of mayhem we're going to see unleashed on this map.
I think a lot of people, on a more serious tone, I think a lot of people dislike this map because of either like crazy time banks and overtimes or just a full hold, and there wasn't much in between. But I think in this meta, we'll see something a little bit different, especially with these two teams, as you say. Godsby going to start the Widow, hoping to get that Jinmu kill, force a res, but Jinmu is wiser. He's not going to do the normal poke. If he's crazy if he does. Okay, he gets the body shot. Oh. Fun little game these two heroes play in the early game. It's like, oh, you gonna peek? I'm waiting.
Shots coming out for you, gonna be slept. A ton of damage coming through, but the immortality feels perfectly timed right at the last second there from IDK to keep Maria alive, but he's still getting beaten and battered. Mayhem will finally alleviate a lot of that pressure, but they still have Jinmu around the back, just landing straight in there, sneaking his way through. Got rid of Adora as well, so strong start. As I say that though, Among will be eliminated by Bebe. It was pushed up towards the point. That's a very slow walk back toward the Orisa. See how well Chengdu can hold off for now. As I say that, Yveltal will manage to get the res off onto Amon, but Godsby then gets rid of the Pharah, so a lot of pressure going to be taken away.
That's the backbone gone. I mean, they need that Pharah to just keep this point alive. If they can get a kill here on the Rhea, they should be able to get Pharah back. Jinmu on the way now.
Shots coming after the Storm Arrows. Barrier, however, keeping Gushue protected for a little bit longer. Leave Has to do just that. Exits around the back as Godspeed finds Among. Nano boost tossed in onto Jinmu. He's already taken so much damage. Manages to find one. The barrage going to be pulled out. Looks for the hit. Secretion flies in from off screen. Elsa does manage to set up a kill onto IDK, and just like that, Chengdu Hunters, it seems like they might just be able to hold this. The res comes through onto Jinmu. They'll push back up into the skies and Guangzhou falls. So yeah, they lose absolutely nothing. That was looking catastrophic for the Hunters, but they don't give up a single tick.
Veltal is crazy. The amount of healing he put off in that fight, and part of it not onto Jinmu, and then Jinmu also commits at like sub 40 health to fighting, knowing that Veltal doesn't have his res yet, goes in, commits the barrage instantly, and the rest of the team is fully prepared to follow up on the damage. Then the res comes through once Veltal has it. I mean, this team was made to play this comp.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's a beautiful thing to watch.
Set of support in these teams in particular for this map. Dragon Strike rolling in. Takes them so very low, but the Immortality Field does manage to keep IDK and Guangzhou alive, but Godspeed, same cannot be said for him. Shot comes through from Molly, and he manages to find the snipe. Door forced into the ice block already. Rhea gets one with the accretion. Falls down to half HP as the door takes it out, but Amon will be able to finish them all. Rez comes through now onto Hangzhou. Accretion not going to connect. IDK finds one. Yebeltal now going to fall. The Pharmacy duo taken out of the sky. A very solid start, but still, Spark held up, being delayed by that Sigma ult coming through.
Yeah, Jinmu trying to rush back on the Doomfist. They may get a small contest here, but it looks like A belongs to the Spark now.
They're not taking it yet, just now slowly starting to tick up with 38 seconds remaining. Among is around.
They're flanking.
Rolling his way through, the accretion not going to connect. He's taking a very long route. Jinmu comes through, gets a seismic slam, but Rhea instantly destroys him. Elsa cannot land the stun in that close range. Has to use that kinetic grasp to try and stay alive, but it's not going to be enough. Ends up falling. Yebeltal over onto the point, knows that he is a goner, goes ahead, falls. So 3 minutes added to the clock, but significant time drain there from the Chengdu Hunters. Some fantastic delays.
Yeah, really good delays. Godspeed, though, I mean, he's the man of the hour. He made that first push, or that first take of A, all the more realistic with how well he played the McCree, the Widow to start, threatening Jinmu's Farah. Jinmu now swapping over to Genji here in a double flex support comp. The Zenyatta we've seen a little bit in 2020, this competition. Huge pile driver.
Yeah, massive pile driver coming through, but Among frozen. Very good delivery on that ult there. The Blizzard just to go ahead, freeze him up, and ensure that they can find the kill. He'll be able to rejoin rather quickly, though, as Rhea stood up and hounded down, just getting flanked from multiple angles by the sharpshooters here on the side of the Chengdu Hunters. Cleanup will come through, but they got pretty damn far on point B. 89.4% accrued for the Hangzhou Spark.
Very, very close there. Rhea has had his moments as a flex tank, excuse me, throughout the Overwatch League last year. You know, what was that flux? You know, those some moments, right? On the Sigma there at the end, but his D.Va and his Sigma playstyle are the same. He likes to flank, he likes to look for kills, he likes to look for damage and threaten, and that actually cost him there when he got caught, picked off, stunned up, as you pointed out. He's close to a flux now, though. I think that's the idea, but they've really got one big fight left.
Yeah, with a minute and a half remaining, we'll see if they can find it. So we start connects on the Guangzhou. The Mortality Field is up, keeping them safe, and Adora manages to get the headshot onto Jinmu. So now pushing forward over towards the point. Adora finding another to be eliminated. And it's getting closer and closer to that next Blizzard. Transcendence will come through on the back end of the Gravitic Flux out from Rhea. And Jinmu rejoining with a Doomfist. It's not going to do anything. It's taken down, and that is a finish on Parrot.
Score
Hangzhou
0-2.
110. You know, a decent time bank to try to make one last-ditch attempt on A if it does come to overtime rounds. But I think they're hoping for that hold on A, the full hold, to bring us to that 5th map. I mean, it looked rough on A. It looked like things might have gone a similar way to Dorado, but they broke through. Godspeed played a better game. He played the McCree faster earlier, made it get value. versus the comp that Chengdu is running. I feel like Hangzhou is kind of, I don't want to say downloaded per se, but have really adapted and are remembering how to play against the styles that we're seeing from Chengdu right now, and they look like a very different team than what we saw on map 1 in terms of how they're answering.
Attackers incoming in 30 seconds.
Taking a long gander at the robot here. Is it applying pesticides?
I don't know if robots will.
Is it watering
Yeah,
the plant?
I don't know. Will robots ever really tend to plants as well as humans? I don't know.
Probably.
I don't know about that. I mean, maybe the plant's not even actually a plant. Maybe he's just like soldering it. Maybe it's all metal. We don't know. Maybe it's not actually
It could be a robot plant
at all. Yeah,
Sure.
it could just be plant-shaped metal. I don't.
Well, I thought he was running out, but it seems like they're doing scouting and making up their minds first.
Yeah, you can't Sombra Scout when she is disabled.
Yeah.
You can not use the B word, but Jinmu is just going to flank around here, and there's a lot of chip damage coming through. Godsby has correctly chosen McCree, so it's making Jinmu's life very difficult.
Godsby. Again, Holt setups have been very good. Elsa and the rest of his team trying to ensure those rocket connections. Godsby this time it's not going to be a rocket, it's going to be an arrow. Manages to find him, so out of the fight early. No mercy on their side, and now Guangzhou gone, so this is looking like an explosive time bank for the Chengdu Hunters. So again, it's where right when you think that maybe Hangzhou Spark has the advantage because they finished the map where they get so far, it could just slip out of their fingers. They still try to hold out hope here. Bionade from Molly finishes off Bebe. The shield's gonna break here for IDK, and he's got very few places to run to. But with Jinmu hot on his heels, somehow has not gotten the kill yet, but if nothing else, they're keeping him locked in behind enemy lines. Finally, Duke Dobin with the final rocket, and that will be the lockdown on point A coming through. Nearly 5.5 minutes about to be in the time bank.
Really good focus fire onto Godsby from the outset. Jinmu pressuring him out of position, leave, while climbing into a position where he could threaten him from a different angle. Getting that kill with the Hanzo means that Jinmu has free reign. He's got a rocket barrage, although IDK wouldn't go quietly into that good night. They have a 4-minute lead now at the moment in terms of time bank here, and great ults for this B push. There's the nano, they're going to commit.
Yeah, used onto Jinmu, so maybe looking for a setup for that barrage. So far has not been able to find one, but he says, oh, you know what, baby, you're by yourself. That's a prime enough target for me. Gets the follow-up shot onto Godsby. See just a fade away. Fall back with the concussive blast. Self-destruct out will find him. Korea trying to drag this one back into their favor. Fire strike goes through, but it's not enough to kill Leaf, so Guangzhou will fall. Also finishing him off, and Amok just pile driving Adora into another dimension. Didn't see it coming, I didn't hear it coming, and he just gets absolutely smashed. Point nearly opened up. Godsby just tiptoeing on and off, trying to keep this contested as long as humanly possible. Amok finds a melee hit there on the Bebe. Guangzhou will swing through with a wrecking ball, trying to clear things up. Blizzard comes in from Adora, lobbing that to the far right side of the point. With Yamato falling, seems like maybe they have opened things up enough. Jinmu still plus forwarding with the Doomfist, will get cut down in mid-air. With 4 minutes remaining, Chengdu Hunters, they managed to accrue 87.7%.
Yeah, very close, but not close enough. And this now begs the question as to what we'll see swap-wise here, because like, this is one of those situations where it's like, this is not a comp. Also could swap to Diva, yep, there it is, and that would leave us with a dive composition that has nano boost available. And they only need 1 tick, so they only need a few picks, and then they could start to snowball things. This is the style that Chengdu is most famous for, and what they've found success with is just this scrappy team fight style,
yeah,
just where you just fight non-stop. And I like the idea. They've got a lot of time to work with here. They've got armor packs.
Take this patiently. Trying to get those ultimates online. Leave, especially with a pulse bomb to try and get rid of IDK, would be huge to them. Long swinging through, goes in, pile driver with the minefield thrown down. Adora takes a lot of damage, gets forced into that ice block as the nano boost is in onto Jinmu. Looking for a punch, the Maywall comes in, gets the uppercut there onto Rhea, trying to de-mech him. Unable to do so far. The punch going to be shorted, so cannot get the connection on the Gushue. Take it out of the back, another punch going through. Seismic Slam into the back, perfectly timed sleep dart. Bebe does get the bed, but he's going to be woken up. Now goes up into the air with a Meteor Strike. Dropping back down, doesn't find a kill with that ultimate that is still just wreaking all sorts of havoc. Double struck up over the top. Rhea looking for a pick, will be blocked out by the shield, but being eliminated in the Tracer 1v1 with a little bit of help from Bebe. Another Blizzard tossed in now by Adora. Everybody clears off of it, so not going to be frozen. Still in this fight. 96% built up so far. Also going to be deep back to Among with scraps for HP. Seems like they will have to abandon this one.
Yeah, they do. I mean, they get ever so close, but I mean, great delays. Bebe, we'll see him later on. Bebe with the sleep dart there, amazing plays on the Ana, delaying, buying so much time in the face of Among's almost perfect minefield there, as he showcases what is possible with Wrecking Ball. Second minefield comes down, it's still not enough. They're about to have a rally, but they changed composition. They're gonna run this May Hangzhou. But it's desperation. You could see it, you could feel it. It looks like Hangzhou might be bringing us to a map 5 here. They've got the stronger comp, they've got so much to delay with. It's gonna have to be staying power with the ults here for Chengdu. That's not their style.
Fire Strike gets Gushue the Shatter. Well, considerably further behind. Not well known for his Reinhardt, but we know that he can fight with the best in the league. Gushue going to be taken down, and they're just exploding here onto the point. Gushue not even getting a chance to use that Earth Shatter. The Fire Strike clips Bebe around the corner, and that will be it. A minute on the clock. Now for the Chengdu Hunters, they finished just below that minute mark, so a couple extra seconds added on for Hangzhou, but suddenly this is anyone's game.
Yeah, a bit of a sloppy defense there from Hangzhou, but this could be a draw. It certainly has a good chance of it being, but this becomes very knife's edge for A, because any tick gained for the first team that attacks becomes so terrifying, because it is difficult to take A on Paris with such a limited time bank, fighting ultless. There's a world where you might see Pharah on attack for Chengdu. There's a world where you might see even a Genji for Jinmu here pocketed to try to get a fast Dragon Blade, because you're not fighting for A, you're not fighting for B, you're fighting for a tick, really, in this case, as Chengdu is the first attacking team. If you can get a tick and then play that same slow Pharah style and just beat Hangzhou in that game and get that full hold with only a minute 13, I think that's really your objective, is just to get a single tick. You're not playing for the draw, you're playing for the win. You don't want that map 5.
Yep.
And with their playstyle, I think if they can get a tick here, they've got a really good chance of closing this out.
Well, they got to be all in on it. They have to clean up the defense, because they kind of just fell over and died the first time out. Only at point B where they were really able to take any time off the bank. And away from the Hunters, Jinmu, of course, is straight back in onto the Pharah, looking for an angle, looking for someone to blow
Godsby is the one they want, right? I mean, Godsby's getting the armor pack here. IDK, you can see it. They got him last time.
Keep filtering those ones through. Fire Strike goes in. Gushue managing to tag up just a little bit. Zaybong will fall. So a very solid start for Rhea, who's already halfway to that self-destruct. Everybody else in the game is going to be slow building ultimates. Hasn't been too much action coming through. Godsby taking a lot of damage, and Jinmu manages to find him again. And it's going to be huge, but is that going to be enough for them to get over onto point A? Bionade tossed in, Gushue getting topped up very steadily. Among rolls through, and now Jinmu gone. This time Adora finds the kill. Godsby swaps over onto the Tracer, trying to rejoin quickly. Double will find the res. Push up onto the high ground. Rhea trying to get the kill here. Onto Leaf, but the Mercy Pocket comes through to keep him sustained. Bionade onto Amon as he pushes forward, rolling away. Trying to find an angle perhaps to knock somebody off the side of the map. Rhea throws the bomb up into the air. Doesn't find a pick off. Unable to cannot finish off the Pharmacy duo. And Abu's tossed in. Jinmu looking for a target. Shadow gets dropped in, manages to find Amon. He will be pinned, he will be killed. The barrage comes down, but he just can't get the damage in. The D-Matrix is there, up in his face. Rhea blocking all of that and keeping the team alive. They step off the point for the moment. Now they have to get grounded. You can see just a few members trying to buy some time and just leave by himself, but he will be finished off, and that will be the hold in OT. Nothing gained. So a draw still possible. That's what Chengdu is fighting for.
Yeah, that means the series will go on. Best case scenario for Chengdu is with them still having a 2-1 lead. But, I mean, that was great play from Maria all around. The objective for Chengdu with that composition is to get onto the point and force Godsby away or kill him, right? He came back on the Tracer to try to contest the point. You have a Pharah. Molly's at like 90%. He finally gets the Nano Boost off. You have the barrage coming through, and Rhea just shuts everything down. Without Rhea's great plays there, the comp just can't survive against a Pharah. There's no answer to the Pharah. There's no way to shut it down. And Rhea made it all happen, made it all possible there. The defense matrix usage was great. The pressure he put back onto Jinmu right afterwards. That's the kind of clutch play you need to see from a flex tank in a crisis situation like that. Because like I was saying before, I mean, the real plan, the real win condition for Chengdu is to get just a single tick and they get that full hold. They don't have that opportunity anymore. Now they're playing for the draw. And they may very well get that, but the series could have been over if they had gotten that tick. I mean, they might have been able to win this whole series right then and there. We'll never know how that reality would have played out, though. And have Godsby start the McCree once again to counter the Spara, and Hangzhou's got a real chance of bringing us to a 5th map they can take to reverse sweep.
Pushing their way forward. Jinmu poking out already where he can. A couple nice rockets down there onto Guangzhou. The barrier will come out, block out the rest, but already Bebe getting eliminated. 45 seconds remain. Hangzhou Spark need a tick to tie us up 2-2 in the series.
Good angle here for Jinmu, but he doesn't want to overextend into Godsby's line of sight. Just going to pressure, stay safe around the corner. As you can see, Godsby doesn't have much to fire at the moment.
Nice stun there onto Rhea. Just further delaying them. It's going to have to be a mad dash forward onto the point. And also deal with Jinmu, who's got a barrage ready to go. Drops it in. Looking for a kill, but actually will get punished for it. Manages to find one, but it's at the cost of 2. Among and Jinmu both eliminated. Making their way over towards the point now. Flashbang. Godsby cannot find the hit there on the lead, who is holding down the staircase. Rhea trying to make his way over onto the point. They do force that out. They make their way on, so they start ticking up. Can anyone tag it? They're trying to get there. The closest was the Sigma, but it's not going to be enough. Hangzhou Spark will be able to get a victory here on Paris and tie up this series 2-2.
Game 5, the deciding map will be after this, but I mean, that was about as close to a stalemate as you get in Overwatch, and I'm not talking about the draw scenario, but in terms of the fact that at that moment, Godsby couldn't move forward, Jinmu couldn't poke around the corner, shouldn't have committed the barrage, should have waited, and he got greedy. He got overextended. He decided to commit to the barrage. That gave the option to, or they gave the opportunity to Hangzhou Spark to actually take the map, whereas he could have stayed back, he could have played for that draw. It almost felt like Hangzhou was conceding the point, saying, all right, well, this is a draw, there's just no way. We're at an impasse here. But then he gave them that opportunity, and Hangzhou now can get this reverse sweep one map away from doing it.
Yeah, they are. We'll see if they're going to be able to pull that one off when we come back from the break. Tensions rising for both of these teams. Hangzhou, a reverse sweep in their first match of 2020 would be absolutely nuts. We'll see if they can pull it off in just a little bit.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
Legend of Soul Guard. Download now.
And welcome back. Here we go. F5 on our hands. Hangzhou Spark trying to pull off a reverse sweep. We're able to get the victory on Paris. Now just one more stands between them and a victory here in their first match of the 2020 season. Chengdu Hunters, of course, first match for them, still going to be vying for the same exact thing. So it all comes down to the wire. Both of these teams going to be fighting tooth and nail to try to take this final map.
It's all down to this. I mean, absolutely a nail-biter of a series. As you kind of alluded to in Game 1, it feels like this one's going to be closer. It feels like this one's going to be scrappier, and I kind of tended to agree.
Glad I didn't curse it this time.
And you know, you didn't jinx it this time. It ended up coming true, and we're back to Control. We're going into Oasis as our next map. So this is a map where, I mean, anything is possible. You could still run the Pharah here. You can run Dive here. You can even run the May Orisa double shield. You can run the Reaper. Symmetra is possible, a little bit tougher to pull off right now with the hit scan players we do have in play. But I think we're going to see variations of comps. I don't think it's just going to be the Jinmu Pharah show versus Godspeed trying his best, which is what the last two maps kind of devolved into. But I mean, look, we saw so much variation throughout today, or tonight, this morning, whatever way you put it, wherever you are in the world, in compositions, and this is what hero pools are supposed to do, and it's good to see it in practice working out really well. Yeah,
it's definitely it's shaking things up quite a bit, and we're still seeing some fantastic performances, and we're seeing a lot of variation. So so far, I'm liking it. I think that obviously, like a lot of people, seeing May removed for a week would also be pretty cool, but we'll get there eventually. But even with the May, it hasn't been. I feel like the May tonight, especially with these Chinese teams, hasn't been super oppressive. I feel like it's been a little bit more backseated. Yeah, it's been manageable. It's been a little bit more backseated compared to the accompanying DPS that we've been seeing. So that's a positive step forward for me. But as far as personal opinions are concerned. But yeah, final map, Oasis, as you said, to decide it all and see who is going to be walking away with a win in their first match of 2020. And
that's right.
This is a first step. It's a big first step because there are many more matches to be played. These guys are going to have pretty rapid schedules just given the entire global situation, and having to do things remotely means that it's going to be some matches, some series in quick succession. So having victories early on can be very good, not just for standings in the league, but also for your mental state and making sure that the players are remaining positive and able to perform at the top level. So here we go. Jump in.
Here we go.
So Garden.
I mean, look at this already. Dive coming out here for the Chengdu Hunters. Jinmu leave on the Genji Pharah. We had some subs. Sasuna on D.Va, interestingly, over Rhea.
Okay.
And Bazzi's in on the May. We'll talk more about that as this 3-round series potentially develops. There's a lot to talk about in terms of these swaps.
That there is. Pushing it forward here onto the point. It's going to be unlocked. Bazzi already finding the first kill. The fight is leave will be taken down by an icicle to the skull. So Hangzhou will withdraw first blood, able to go ahead and get this point first.
So not only is Saucin subbed in, he's subbed in as a tank, and in this case flex tank to Gushwei. His normal role is to play projectiles, and very rarely something like a Sombra, which is unavailable. So very unusual substitution here, working out so far.
Yeah, changing things up, adding some dynamic flexibility here for the squad. See how?
I mean, he can't play DPS. I mean, he's subbed in as a tank, so he won't. It's not like before 2-2-2 lock where he would be able to play D.Va potentially for something like this, then play triple DPS later. So very unusual choice here, but I mean, Rhea was playing a bit too aggressively at times, so perhaps they decided this is a safer option.
Maywall coming through. They get a cut off onto somebody. The angle not quite right. Flashbang does connect, but no kills we found as Godspeed just fans the hammer trying to break down these tanks, and Amon will finally fall to it. Jinmu, however, with the Dragon Blade, manages to find Gushwei. Dashes through, gets a slice. That's going to be a triple kill. Over to Jinmu, looking for a little bit more. The Maywall comes up, but there's nowhere to go. Bazzi has backed himself into a corner. Final pop out there on Assassin will be the kill, and 63% does get accrued for the side of the Hangzhou Spark. But now, Chengdu on the board.
That was a great Dragon Blade. He knew Flashbang was on cooldown. He had just seen it moments before. He knew he was safe to go in there. If he got behind IDK, there was really big potential for a huge blade, and very well executed.
Now playing forward, Stick going to be coming in. Leaf gets rid of Godspeed as they continue to play very far forward. And Bazzi committing the Blizzard here?
Yeah, slept in animation as well. Very nasty stuff.
Normally, Wolf, this is where you start screaming, saying, why was that Blizzard? But we won't dwell on it.
That was messy. I mean, that's a free team fight win here.
It was
and
bad.
a free ult. I mean, that was... By the way, this is, I think, I could be wrong on this, but I've been following Bazzi since his debut in Contenders on 7. I think this might be his first career May game.
Very possibly.
Across 2 years of play. So
well, he started with a high note, getting that headshot on Lee, and then might have just basically ended the round with a bad Z play. That Blizzard was not great. Tightening away over to the point, however, they wrap around Hangzhou Spark, trying to get the flips. They're going to be contested. Godspeed draws out the Deadeye, manages to find Ableton. Flashbang in, shatter, everything dumped on top of Jinmu. The self-destruct, why not? Assassin finds the kill. They finally get rid of him. Among manages to drag once back as he knocks Bailey off the side of the map. Hunters currently here with the lead, but Among going to be frozen and eliminated, so not going to be holding on to this point for much longer. Great flick around there from Bazzi, actually.
It's incredible too, like how much value Guangzhou is getting on this Reinhardt all series long. A very unusual pick, right? No Lucio. You're not running the Reinhardt Zarya. You know, it seems like you want to run Winston with this. Obviously, if you're running a dive comp, there isn't one. There's another Bazzi pick off here, but like Guangzhou is using these shatters defensively, and I mean they're getting a lot of value, and it's shutting down a lot of these big dives. And that's not the first time we've seen Apple play, the third or fourth in this series alone. Very cool, kind of like Reinhardt almost tech pick for the shutdown of the dive.
Making their way forward. Get the point halfway contested. Maywall coming through, cuts off Leaps, now has to wrap all the way back around and able to run out to try. It's taken down. Jinmu, flashbang there for the moment, takes a shot on the backhand, and Godspeed not going to be eliminated. Nano boost invested, helps keep him alive. Tries to get the flashbang there onto Lead, is unable to find it. Now he's getting out traded. Has the support, however, from IDK. They get the kill, the headshot goes in. Bomb up over the top, will land on the high ground, which means that Elsa is going to be unable to find any kill. Shadow drop in from Guangzhou. He finds any stuns, but either way, the fight is very much going the way of the Hangzhou Spark. Hunters need to do something desperately to try to turn this one around. Amon rolls his way back through. Has the nano boost, but the double tap is there from Godspeed. The headshot into the body shot finishes off Jinmu. 100 to 88%. Hangzhou Spark, they find the first round.
0-1.
Wow. And this is with Sashin, a Pharah specialist,
Ready for battle.
occasional Genji player, occasionally Sombra, back in the Sombra DPS meta that we had in 2018.
Mostly a projectile boy.
And he has played a little bit of Zarya in his career as well. Very little. But yeah, he's a DPS player who's subbed into this role, and he looks comfortable. And I like the decision to run him over Rhea, given how aggressively Rhea has been playing. His flanks have been a little bit questionable at times. His Sigma flanks especially cost them a lot in this series. So, an uncharacteristically poor performance from Rhea at times, might warrant this swap. But breath of fresh air, and in Game 5, taking a massive risk, and it's paying off. Bazzi as well here on the May. Not what you expect to see, but Hangzhou's got more tricks up their sleeves than what we expected.
Extremely late swap from Yabletal. Moving over onto the Ana. Seems like they wanted to do a bit of a scouting report to decide what that second support was going to be. So it does arrive a little bit later, but doesn't get cut off, so not too bad. Guangzhou, however, everybody's piling in on top of him. Discord Orbs making it very quick work of the enemy Reinhardt. So
Very
first
cool,
lockdown is here.
Very cool dash resets there from Jinmu as well, off of the kill there. getting him some extra ult percentage, almost halfway to that Dragon Blade. They have Veltal swap to Ana for the double flex. It's going to give them a Nano Blade they'd like to use defensively here. If they win this next fight, they're in a great position to bring this to a third round. They'll have that ult advantage almost permanently here.
Jinmu's still playing up on the flank, trying to get that Dragon Blade ready to roll. Driving behind a little bit. Bionade connects onto 3. Pile driver coming through, freezes out. And Amon in a pretty rough spot. Managed to go ahead and roll his way out to safety. Slow and steady on the healing for him. Actually, fast now is Numbani will go ahead and pop that Transcendence. Keep everybody topped up. Closer's going to be locked in by Bazzi. Trying to get a lockdown here over onto the side. Jinmu goes through, manages to get 2 kills with a dash reset, swipes his way to a third onto IDK, gets a 4th as Bazzi will fall, and now he's running out into traffic, goes off the side of the map.
I mean,
That's going to be a pause. Unsurprising. I was going to say, wait a second now.
I don't know what to say about that, but about the traffic, and I don't know what's going on with the pause. We'll get an update probably soon, but I was going to say it's crazy how much value Jinmu gets out of these blades when there's so much CC on the other side. Just looking at my screen right now, I was thinking about it. We've got the flashbang, you've got the Reinhardt pin, okay, but then more realistically, you have Sleep Dart, you have the bash. And he just gets through. And I think the cool thing about how he's doing is he gets nanoed early. He does the dash that you normally do with a Dragon Blade, then he waits for a moment. And sometimes the shield bash misses in that moment. He comes in and cleans everybody up. It's kind of cool to see. He's playing a bit of a tricky Genji. He's going to swap to Doom.
Yeah,
so
he's on the Doom.
Who knows what happened with the traffic there.
Yeah,
but.
so it seems like we are good to going back in. So taking a closer look now, Jinmu. Wrapping around the side of the point, going for a bit of a flank angle. It's the uppercut in onto Guchue. Seismic Slam does connect, but he's got the mini pack to try and stay alive. Not taking the punch aggressively. 99% here for the Chengdu Hunters. Self-destruct going to be coming out from Elsa, looking for a pick as Amon gets hit by that Bionade, but he still manages to stay alive and actually takes down IDK. Bazzi now going to be eliminated, losing out on his own Doom Fist. OT starting to trickle away. They pushing forward, gets the Pulse Bomb ready to go, sees the D-Matrix used. Does he burn it to try and get rid of the D.Va? Seems like they have that one handled. They uppercut him off the map. And that will be 1-1 in rounds now on Oasis. One final round to decide this series.
Our 6th round of control in this series as well. It's the scrappy fights, 100-0, Chengdu wins. The slow fights, the ult economy war, Hangzhou wins. And, if that trend continues here, if we play a more dive style going into this final round, Chengdu might be able to steal that win away. They were so close to it on Paris. Lost control, now we're in that 5th map. I gotta say, Hangzhou needs to win this first fight if they're going to run this comp again with Godsby on the McCree, you got Bazzi on the Mei. They're not running dive, because if they have to swap to dive and they're behind on ults and they're fighting against Chengdu, who's so excellent at Dragon Blading, so excellent at these scrappy ultless fights even, that's a big problem. This fight, they need to win.
Yeah. It's constantly going to be mid-close range though, so that could be very powerful for Godsby. If I say that though, Bionade connects onto 3, and he is the first one to fall. IDK also clipped by that. Does get taken down. Now both supports gone. Jinmu is already at 56% of a Dragon Blade in one fight. The point hasn't even been taken yet. This guy.
They give him all the dash resets.
Out of control.
That's the thing. First of all, this is on Sasha. He should have eaten that bio grenade. He should have been facing where Veltal was. You'd have to see a replay to see if it was a tricky flank angle, but it didn't look like it to me. And now, Veltal's going to have a Nano Blade ready in just a second.
Jinmu pushing forward again. See the Hunters looking for that near spawn camp that we saw from them just minutes ago on Garden. Having to fight them in the rear, but jumping into the back. Pile driver comes through. Amon has been nano boosted, and the minefield is laid down. Godsby taken out again by a Bionade. We'll be able to find one. Pulse Bomb going to be eaten. Soxen on their way back into this game slowly, yet surely, as best as they possibly can. Baby got knocked back into the minefield and does get eliminated, but Amon dies at the back end of the fight, as does Leave. Lob in on the Blizzard. They knew that Elsa wasn't in position. The Transcendence, however, comes through. Bionade is well invested, and they managed to keep the D.Va into the neck. Suddenly, things are unraveling a bit for the Hangzhou Spark. Self-destruct going to be forced out, but here we go. Kills finally starting to come into their for their favor. Three members are now gone.
It's a lot of delay coming through here, though, for Among.
Yes.
They're going to get up to, looks like, about 68, 69. That's pretty nice for Chengdu Hunters here. But I got to say, it sounds weird to think of it as an ult like this, but Guangzhou doesn't have a shatter for the Dragon Blade. That's been their most consistent way of shutting those down so far. Yeah. IDK, will he get the bash this time, and see if Jinmu waits as well, because he's had that unique style where he hangs on after the nano comes through, he waits for a moment, then goes through, and we'll see if this time he can get shut down.
Nano Blade is out. Gets moved back there for the moment with the Discord Orb onto Guangzhou. Turns him into mincemeat. Cuts him down. Self-destruct. Coming out now from Sarsen, buys himself enough space to get his way back into the mech, and Elsa actually gets popped and finished off by IDK. Shots coming through. Among out of nowhere gets rid of Godspeed, and Season needs yet another pulse bomb, too, in this round alone, denying Lee that major burst of damage that can completely swing fights on their heads.
This is insane. Leave is getting so much value on the Tracer as well in this scrappy fight. They need to flip it soon, though, or this doesn't matter.
Doing what they can. They keep stepping off the point. There were very few people contesting it. This actually could have been back in control of Chengdu if they had just stayed on there for half a second longer. Instead, it's going to be Hangzhou taking a lead. Sleep Dart in. Among hits the ground. They're trying to peel for him. He pops the shield. Sleep Dart connects on the Godspeed. The Transcendence is now out. Somali will keep him alive for a little bit longer, but Among instantly gets frozen now as a Blizzard gets used solo onto him. Double Toll as well drops off the high ground, lands, gets frozen up, and gets finished off. Gets rid of one as Godspeed will be eliminated. 84% now built up for the Hangzhou Spark. Elsa has to struggle to pull from. There's nearly a Dragon Blade, but they're going to have to dump all of it to try to get the flip.
Not getting that flip actually might cost them this series.
It really
they don't have a great fight here. They don't have a nano boost for the blade. They've got one more shot at this. Needs to be the biggest Jinmu blade. Needs to be player of the match blade right now.
If they can keep him protected, then this could be it. Pulse bomb, not player of the match potential there. His leave does not find the stick, does not get anything. Jinmu finds one, gets the baby D.Va. He's looking for a little bit more. Bebe gonna be taken down before he can get in range. We'll just go ahead and pick up the mini pack. The flip comes through as Amon falls, but now we've got two ultimates available. Shatter being used, bomb available now for Sachin as he tries to rejoin in for the rest of the squad. 78% on the board for the Chengdu Hunters. Elsa forced to use the self-destruct. The Maywell comes up, blocks that one out. Elsa tries to make it back, but Godspeed cuts him down. Pulse pistols right into the back of the dome. The pulse bomb goes straight on the Yveltal. They cut him out of the fight, absolutely deleted. And that might just be it. 91% could be the end of the line for the Chengdu Hunters. Someone's got to touch. Molly was the closest one, but he is dead, and that will be it. Hangzhou Spark, they pull it off the reverse sweep in their first series of 2020.
Excellent, excellent series we just witnessed. What a phenomenal 5 maps. And I mean, I have to say, I think that we'll have to go back and watch the tape. We'll have to go back one day and take a deeper and closer look at what happened when they were at like 99.999% of a retake there, and either someone last minute contested or they didn't get the capture there.
Yeah.
Because when they all stepped off the point, that gave Hangzhou the 99 they needed to then obviously go for better ult economy fights, play their own style, play those defensive shatters. But that was a really close final round that could have gone either way.
Yeah.
Godspeed comes up clutch in the end. And for me, it's a tough call as to who ends up getting player of the match here.
Yeah.
I think I'm leaning towards Bebe. He had so many incredible saves in terms of saving himself, saving his counterpart IDK on the Brig. Godspeed had his moments. He had his weak moments though as well. It's tough to call though. What do you think?
I was personally leaning towards Godspeed. Then again, I kind of have a penchant for this guy. He's always been a bit of a superstar. He was a little knuckleheaded earlier on in this series, not swapping off of things when he should have. But I think by the end of it, it really came together. and he was really performing. The shutdown on the D-Mech there on Elsa at the end was absolutely critical, and the stick turnaround instantly on Numbani was just fantastic. So I'm kind of leaning towards Godspeed, but again, this is one of those series where there's not really a clear-cut person. If we had Captain Planet in our ears, I'm sure that he would be able to weigh in a little bit more with some stats-based, nominations. But for now, I think I'll go with Godspeed. But man,
I just wanted to say, to everyone watching late night right now, thanks for staying up. Thanks for being our night owls.
Yeah.
And thanks for being patient, because everyone's been working behind the scenes. I know you guys can't see it, but all the production staff, all the league ops, all the casters have been working really hard behind the scenes to get this set up, and I know it might have been a little bit shaky today, but we've got a lot of matches coming up. Overwatch League is back online, and thank you guys so much for being patient throughout tonight's matches, but also the delays we've had in getting the league back online.
Yeah.
But we're back. It's happening.
We are. I have to echo the sentiments of Wolf. It's been a bit of a scramble to get everything together, but it really has culminated, and it seems like overall, for us being kind of the guinea pigs, the test on this one for the first online broadcast, I think overall it was quite satisfactory. So thank you guys for tuning in, staying up with us late. We really appreciate that. Or early, if you're off in Europe or watching in Asia. We appreciate you guys tuning in, being here for us in this, historic moment. First time that we've ever taken the league online. Hopefully it doesn't last too long. But it's been great. So from myself, from Wolf, from all of the production staff who have been staying up at these ungodly hours to bring you the show, thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you in a bit, because there's more Overwatch League action coming up in about 8 or so hours. So make sure you set your alarms and you wake back up for those.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile. Rank up with America's first and only nationwide 5G network. And by State Farm. For auto, home, or renters insurance, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.